Hello, hello. It is one of our last of the two Sunday night shows that I will be doing. After that, we are going to be moving to our new spot on Monday night so that I can be with my little munchkins on the weekends. But I'm excited to be back here on this Sunday night. And today is going to be a very interesting conversation. This is the first of the month, and as promised last month, because it was so much fun, I'm going to be bringing people back on camera like I used to do back in the day. So we are going to be having a very lively discussion on gender roles. I actually have people who are in the waiting room ready to come on camera. But I want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to drop your city and state so that I can shout you out. We got Walter in the building. Hello, Walter. Thank you for always being faithful. And so we're going to be getting started right away. If you guys have not had a chance yet to get my book, I got to plug my books, of course. I've got First Date 101. It's a man's guide to dating a man because you don't need advice from women if you're trying to date men. So the guys let the women in on all the secrets when it comes to making a great first impression and what they look for on a date. The other one is Why Women Love A-Holes. It's a little bit of a clickbait title because it's really a book that is for self-proclaimed good guys. Why it is that you're having trouble getting women, and it's easier to say, well, that women just love assholes. Well, there is something that women are drawn to, just like men are drawn to, and if you don't know what those things are, you can't apply them. So if you want anything that is in the stuff that I just mentioned, go ahead and snatch my book. It's on my website. And thank you so much for the likes. I love that. Thank you, Walter, for doing the little prompting. It definitely helps because YouTube sees it and says, oh, this is something people are enjoying. We will push it out to more people. All right, so let me let the good people in and we'll get this thing started. All right, so we've got two that were here, and I appreciate people being here on time. All right, guys. Oh, beautiful picture, Candace. We got my buddy Jerome coming in. He used to be a regular when I would always have people on camera. Hi, love. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Long time no see, but we talk to each other often, so.
Yes, yes.
Hello, Candace. How are you?
Hello there. I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Awesome. Thank you so much. You guys drop some clapping emojis or some celebratory emojis or some cheers emojis in the comments because it takes bravery for people. I'm not going to take it away from Jerome, but he's a vet. But it takes bravery for people who don't do this, all the time to get on camera in front of all y'all. So, yes. So, give her some applause. That is awesome. You look beautiful, by the way, in your picture and live. Glasses are stunning. So I just want to say I don't take that lightly. I know it's a really big deal. And so when people actually take me up on the offer to come on, I'm like surprisingly impressed. So good job. They're giving you lots of claps. So all right. So we are going to be having some very, very interesting conversations. I think you, Candace, saw the Instagram post and the comments in there. Okay. So the juicy stuff that we have been talking about on Instagram. Sorry, I got to adjust this here. And so we're going to be unpacking a lot because it's so hard to have really any meaningful conversations through Instagram comments. So, Jerome, I believe that you just saw the email, I'm assuming, that I mentioned. Okay. Yeah. So just to bring you up to speed, I have let people submit questions. You guys can do that all throughout the week. Slide in my DM, and you can drop me questions for the live stream, and then I will give my take on those questions. Well, one of the questions that was submitted was from a gentleman. I don't think the gender matters, but he was saying, why is it that gender roles are demeaning for a lot of modern women? And so I thought that would be, I'm not going to give my take on that because they're not demeaning to me. And so let me see what modern women had to say for themselves. So I posted on Instagram and my. There was a lot to be said. So hopefully the others will be able to join on. If not, I don't have like a number that I need to have, but it's always good to hear a lot of opinions. So I have a couple of questions that I'm going to lead the conversation with. And you guys, as we go, people are going to be jumping in, so just don't be startled if someone pops up like Veronica. Welcome to you, Veronica. I'm sure she can hear us, even though her audio is still getting set up. Minnie Spears says, I meet too many guys in their mid-30s that live with their moms. Oh, just going to sip my water. Times are tough. Times are tough. I'll just
For
say
everybody. For everybody.
that. For everybody. I can't imagine trying to make a living that covers everyone's expenses. Like that's a big responsibility. It's hard enough taking care of me and my child. And I get help. Yeah. So she said, ooh, Natasha says she's ready to jump on. Perfect, love. So just go ahead and join in. Whoever, whoever had reached out to me prior to an hour ago, you should already have your information in your DM. Natasha, let me know if you have it. I believe I emailed you, so just let me know. But just come on in and I'll let you guys in. All right, so here's the first question. And if you're not on camera, that doesn't matter. I still would like you guys to drop your comments in the comment section. And you guys on camera, there's a delay, so you'll notice that if you happen to be watching YouTube. Okay. You guys are awesome. There are actually more likes than people viewing right now, which is the first. I appreciate that. The diehards know what's up. All right, so let's first start, before we debate, whether or not these gender roles are antiquated, let's start out by defining them. So in the comments, and you guys, I'm going to come to you one at a time, what is the gender role for a woman? I think most people would agree on the men's, so I'm not even going to really go there. But what would you say are the gender roles for the women? Candace, can I put you on the spot first?
You can. You can. The gender roles for women. Now, I'm a believer, so I'm just going to put that out there. The gender roles only go into place once I'm a wife. So if we are talking about...
Super coming with facts. Okay.
She put that out there right away.
Woo!
Because I really had to sit with this. I was like, why are we even talking about this conversation? And I'm single. Yep. So gender roles, to my point, gender roles only go into place once there is a commitment before God and we are married. So I cannot define gender roles
in dating.
Okay.
That's fair. That's a very golf clap for that. Golf.
That's fair.
Welcome to Veronica. Hello, love. How are you, darling? So style is very free for all, not very formal. Jerome, back in the day, we used to have some very spirited people. And
I love it.
Right? So, but most of the time people let everyone speak, so I don't really have to worry about that. So just jump in.
Much respect to everyone.
Right? Domestic duties. Okay, perfect. So we got some, oh, snap. No, Natasha, respond to, oh, that's so weird. It says that you joined it. Oh, I gave you the wrong one because that's my bad. She's one of the first people who did. I don't know why. I grabbed the wrong. I grabbed a different one. Hold on one second, guys. So let's see.
While you're doing that, is it okay I answer the question?
Actually, thank you, Jerome. Please, thank you.
No problem, sis. I got you.
I know.
So, as someone who did put a ring on it and has a ring on it, gender roles are, and I don't know if I subscribe to they being assigned, but I'm going back old school, cooking, cleaning, laundry for the woman, taking care of the house, taking care of the children were the gender roles for women. Basically, for men, it was to be out in the workforce, bring the money home to the wife, and protect the family. There was that level of protection that, as men, that we inherited from, and again, that's old school. So that's what I see as gender roles.
And I totally zoned out sending Natasha that link. Okay, so you said, I believe I heard laundry. That's the only word I picked up on in my not listening.
Cooking, cleaning, laundry.
Okay.
Taking care of the kids, the house in and of itself, even handling the bills. As a financial professional, I remember very early in my career, I dealt with more women who were handling the finances as opposed to men.
Okay.
So that's what a woman. Oh, and I'm gonna keep saying old school. Please don't think that this is what I'm talking about now. Please don't come for.
We are defining Traditional, yes. So very good. That's
Traditional.
A very
Thank you.
good,
That's the word. Yes.
That's a very good disclaimer. Okay,
Yes.
so Natasha, I sent it to you if I'm not mistaken. I forgot I made a completely different Zoom link thinking I was going to use that, and then I didn't use that one. So my bad. So let me know, Natasha, if you got it. Somebody else. Oh, perfect. She's coming in now. Okay, so someone said domestic duties, including cooking, cleaning, and transmitters, curators of culture to the children. Minnie Spears says men provide and protect while the women nurture. I agree. No gender roles are defined in dating. Hello, beautiful. Hi, Natasha.
Hi, thank you for your patience, Yonci, and your tech support in the middle of a live stream. And
that
for
was
Jerome,
totally my bad. Gorgeous. I'm so sorry, but God did not mess up when he made his people. So y'all are stunning.
Oh,
I'm over here
did.
like da. And I'm hetero. Okay. So Aldrin says, love my sisters. I have yet to date a woman who can cook better than me. Oh, okay. I might have to sample the cooking to see. He said, so I'm doing the cooking. That's funny. All right. So who has not had, well, I guess everyone has not. I don't think I said hello to Shantae. Hello, Shantae. How are you? Am I saying your name correctly?
Yes, you are.
Okay, and I'm sorry if I look like I have a lazy eye. It's because I'm looking at my monitor, but the camera is technically here. So if I look like I'm like, that's why.
It's okay. My hair isn't even done.
Look, I had a woman come on in her bonnet because I didn't give people a heads up. And so I do not judge. People are willing to come on. That is a blessing, okay?
But can I say all of y'all look beautiful? So
right?
Thank you.
No matter.
Thank you.
I love being a king amongst queens.
I was gonna say, and he has good taste too. I've seen his queen. So, oh, thank you. I appreciate I almost said, the Instagram term. What's the term here? Super chat. Thank you for the super chat, Mo Lifts. I appreciate that. Haven't gender roles existed since the Stone Age? Now, I don't know if you're saying like sarcastically or you're being serious, like they've been around since the beginning of time. I'm going to assume that's the second, it's the latter, okay? And greetings to, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, Quadwo? Am I saying it correctly?
Yeah, that's my name. Even though I'll take it like that. My name is Pedro.
Oh, I was way off. Okay, well,
Pedro, yeah.
I'm going to let you tackle that pronunciation because if I can't do it right, I don't want to butcher it. So welcome, sir. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Is it okay if I call you Mr. K?
Okay, yeah, that's my nickname.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to put Veronica on the spot. So I'm going to go in the order that you guys are on my screen. So I'm going to put Veronica on the spot and quickly tell me what you would think a woman's gender role is traditionally, okay? Not what you're voting for today, but just the traditional. What would you say that is, Veronica?
I would say traditionally a woman's gender role is to make a home. So within the home, making sure that food is cooked, meals are cooked, make sure the home is clean, and make sure that the children are cared for.
Okay. All right. So far, everyone's pretty much in agreement. Natasha, did I give you a chance to answer that question? I don't think I did.
No, but I mean, I am in agreement if we're talking about the traditional westernized gender roles. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for adding that too. Westernized, yes. Okay, and Shantae, you get a chance to answer that. Oh, she took a deep sigh. Oh, go ahead and unmute yourself, babe. I saw the deep sigh, though.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, excuse my voice. It's a little raspy, but...
oh, you were the one. Yep, okay.
Yeah. All I'm going to say is I'm going to try to keep my answer short and sweet, is I just think that I don't have a problem with the gender roles. I don't think that there should be gender roles. I mean, if we're both trying to build a home together, then we need to go ahead and do everything together. It's mainly reciprocity.
Okay,
if I see a bill, I'm going to pay it. I'm not going to wait, for my husband to pay it, but also in the same breath, if I just worked a 10 to 12 hour shift of work and the first thing he asks me is what I'm cooking or how come the house isn't clean. And if that's the first thing he asks me, he's going to have a problem. I'm sorry. But
so let's define, and I'm so sorry, right before you came on, I was saying, so before we debate you know, the pros and cons. Let's make sure we're on the same page as far as what they are. So I should have made sure I clarified. I apologize. Let me know what you would define as a traditional gender role, if you don't mind. So far, we've said cooking, cleaning, laundry, taking care of the kids, handling bills, making a home. Would you kind of agree with that collective answer for the traditional?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I agree with that.
Okay.
But, you know, I just also think that it should be a partnership. Everything should be a partnership. If I have a partner and if I have children with him and they are his children, we should be doing everything together. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't agree that a man should pay all of the entirety of the bills. I don't agree with that at all.
And we're definitely,
I hear that a lot.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get into how each of you feel about the gender roles or whether they should be there. But I want to make sure that we have a progression, because sometimes when we have conversation, not you guys, but just in general, sometimes we can have a whole discussion and not even realize, like, wait, we didn't even agree on what the parameters were, you know, of that. Or the person's like, I was never saying that. And the person's arguing something that wasn't even said. So it might seem like a little slow, chugga to get out the gate, but I promise you, we're gonna go there. But I want to make sure we all are in agreement. So it basically is the woman's place in the gender role is in the house. Why do you think, and this is open to anyone who wants to answer, why do you think that started out? Where do you think that initially came from, that those particular duties were assigned to women? Don't everyone fight for the spot at once. Okay, go ahead, Natasha.
I think part of it is just a biological imperative kind of thing. Women are literally able to feed their newborn children, and so the nurturing aspect first starts there. And I think a lot of the catering, the child rearing stemmed from that. If we're talking about, again, just basic biology.
Okay. I think that's a very valid point. And this is, I'm not going to give my opinion on this, if we call them rounds, but from a biological perspective, the woman is out of commission at some point, because some women will go all the way up until their baby's crowning. But at some point, a woman becomes out of commission when she physically needs to go into labor, or she's just very uncomfortable. And then postpartum, most doctors, even if you're in really good shape, they will tell you to rest for a little while because your body went under intense trauma. So would we all agree that a woman's body goes through a lot when she actually gives birth, okay? And then after that, there is typically a bonding that happens with the woman and her baby. I have never seen a woman who didn't cry when it was time to hand their baby over to somebody else and go back to work. As much as she loved her job, I've never seen. Can we all agree on that? Kind of like wave your hand? Okay, perfect. Definitely. So, I don't agree where women have children and some. Oh, okay. She's talking about the scenario. Okay. So, I too can understand where this came from. And for the sake of this conversation, I might introduce it later. I might not, because we have a lot to talk about. But for the sake of this conversation, I do not want to talk about a hypothetical situation in which the man cannot provide. I want to talk about a hypothetical situation where the man is the sole breadwinner, and they have more than what they need financially. Okay? So I really want to break this down. I want to ask you, actually, let's do this quickly. What would you say would be like the top things when it comes to a man's gender role? And two, to the point Natasha made, do we believe that there are expectations for these roles during dating? So it's a two-part question. What things should, I use that word intentionally, a man do? And do we as women have expectations of the men during the dating phase? Who wants to tackle that? Okay.
So, men's gender roles, I think the top three, if I'm doing three, first is covering.
Okay.
And this is after marriage, of course, because I can't just say there's no gender roles for women before marriage. No, I'm saying the same thing for men.
Oh, I'm sorry. I gave Natasha that was your comment. No. I'm saying I was crediting Natasha for saying that, but I believe that was you who said that about the gender roles are. Were you the one who
after marriage?
Yes. I apologize. So I misspoke.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
So the same thing stands for men. I think after marriage, he's supposed to be a covering.
Okay.
He's also supposed to be a leader and a provider. What was your second question?
You kind of answered it. Do we have gender? Well, I think you would only be able to answer for yourself, I guess. Do you personally have expectation when it comes to gender roles coming from a man during the dating phase?
During dating? See, that's a good question.
As she scratches her neck.
Because there is an expectation. I was just having this conversation with a friend about boundaries versus standards. And it was really good because I was like, oh, there is a difference. You're absolutely right. And so to the point of dating, yes, I do have standards for me to show up as a woman and for him to show up as a man so that we can see if we're fit for one another to get married, to now move in those gender roles. So to answer your question, yes, they are. Have I defined them? Not necessarily.
Okay. And I love your honesty. Okay. Who else? Does anyone else want to tap in or in the comments?
Let me tap into that.
Yes.
I may. First of all, you know, and Natasha, when you answered the first question and said westernized, that is so vital that we need to hone in on that. And the question you asked, where did the gender roles come from? I, in my mind's eye, think of wartime when the men went off to war and the women were left behind. And then as the men came back home, those roles of the women taking care of the house and the men being out at work, I think they remained in place. As far as the top three things, and Candace, while I respect the fact that you say gender roles should not be until one gets married, let me be clear for me as a man, when I dated my wife needed to know that I am worthy of protecting her and providing for her. So I'll never forget our first date. I lived in Charlotte and she lived in New York at that time, and we met in Atlanta. And we went to a restaurant and she stepped up to tell them our reservation. So I kindly tapped her on the shoulder, eased her back and said, baby, whose name is the reservation under? Because I got this. Right? And it's not to belittle her in any way.
It's not chauvinistic.
I'm not that guy because I'm married to a bad chick. Seriously,
she is.
But it's just to let her know that you got a real one here. Like and when I provide, protect, and pray. Okay, and I'm gonna say, every single day for 5 years while I was in North Carolina, my wife woke up to a prayer every morning from her man. Okay? So, yes, I'm a man of God, but I'm nobody to be played with, and that's where the protection piece comes from.
Chelsea said, oh, I heard that.
That's and I think that when men show up in that way from day one, and I'm not talking about what a woman should and shouldn't do. I'm talking about what I would do as a man. I'm showing, because I should never come out of who I am just because I am only dating you. I should be who I am here, and what I did to get you is what I'm gonna do to keep you.
Let me make sure. Did you guys in the back hear that? They didn't hear it. They didn't hear it in the back. So you said you're not gonna change. You're not gonna come out of character. Never. Depending on the season that you're in. So never. Winter, summer, spring, and fall, you finna. Okay, I'm that cat. Right. Yes. Okay. Shake that down. Got it. You guys got that? Okay, cool. So the audio, the acoustics back there, it's not as good as up front. So now that we got that, that is so interesting. And you saying that reminded me of something one of my buddies says all the time. He said, I don't want to date a woman who's only feminine sometimes. And he said, I want to meet a woman who is in her feminine. So that's not to say, from his point, that's not to say, are there times in life she needs to go into her masculine? That's not what he's saying. He's saying when I meet her, meaning, so your wife who is a bad mamma jamma, she's not helpless by any means. But what you were saying is, you said in that moment, when I am here, you can have several seats, but in the most respectful way. Exactly. You can put your feet up, sit down, relax. You can even close your eyes and take a nap because I got this. So,
and if you need daddy to carry you into the restaurant, I got you there too.
Ooh, I'm just saying, look, y'all might not last in the restaurant. Y'all might need to come out to the car or the restaurant. So I'm just talking like that. Okay.
I know I had it at prayer. So to be honest with you,
I love it. I love it, y'all. Okay, so that being said, she's not. Minnie says, "I wish I met guys like that." Okay, and here's the thing, and I've met guys like that too. Okay, they exist. That's why I'm a big proponent.
They exist.
These guys exist. Okay, so
I'm praying, I'm hoping.
You said what?
I'm praying and hoping.
You really do, because, and I say this with all sincerity, when a person confesses out of their mouth that these guys do not exist, that becomes your reality because you have spoken that over your life.
Right.
And so people probably get so sick of me because I probably sound corny to them, but when they comment like, oh, well, too bad those guys don't exist, or too bad those women are non-existent, I say, speak what you want to see. Yep. Because the thing is, and there's a post, I haven't even posted it yet, but there's a post that I'll be doing this week saying, when you have a bitter attitude, because that's what bitterness will cause you to say, when you have a bitter attitude, a man like that, he will be turning away. And therefore, it'll be a self-fulfilling prophecy. You will not have those kind of men, because those kinds of men are not going to be with a woman who says these men don't exist. That bitterness, he's going to pick up on it quickly, and you're going to be left alone with just the guys who are not like that. And then you're going to keep saying, see, those guys don't exist. Okay, so I wanted to say about feminine. So when a woman is in her feminine, she knows to stay in her feminine no matter how that man is operating. Because there is a man and they are in a dating environment, she will be in her feminine. This is the kind of guy that my friend, and speaking for a lot of men, want. Now, the clapback that a lot of women will give is, I'm not even going to go into my feminine until you show, man, that you deserve it. But as Jerome was saying, if you are what you are, it doesn't matter if it's raining, sunshine, cloudy, if you are going to be. I am going to be feminine no matter what. Now, do you get to be my man? Now, that's up for a decision. But I will be feminine, single, not single. That's the difference. And so I think we can learn a lot from that and stop moving out of fear or thinking that our femininity or our masculinity is something that one must earn. That is something that you just are. Access to you and your feminine energy is a whole different thing. But a lot of women are turning off men out the gate because they're coming in masculine energy, and a heterosexual man, he ain't trying to be hanging out with masculine energy. That's what his boys are for. They'd rather go shoot hoops or play video games. Not, So, I digress, but I'm coming back. Okay. So out of you guys who are here on the panel, and those of you in the comments, you can answer as well. Do you find it offensive if a man comes out the gate and says, I want a woman who plays a traditional gender role? Remember, in all the hypothetical situations, we are talking about a man who is very much capable of providing for the house financially. So who would like to tackle that? Are you offended if you get to know a guy and he's like, look, I'm a very traditional man. I want to pay all the bills, and I want a wife who plays traditional roles. Go ahead, Veronica. And y'all can just jump in. Y'all don't have to be formal.
I don't feel, personally, I wouldn't be offended. That's not something that I find offensive. That's actually what I am, that's what I am seeking in a husband. That's what I want. I want to be the homemaker. I'm naturally a nurturer. I love children. I have 2 children. It fulfills fulfills me to take care of my children, it fulfills me to cook for them, to take care of them, whatever it is that I can do for them, as well as being able to do that for a husband. That's what I want. So a husband, I want my husband to to be led by God. And I want my husband to be the leader and the head of our family and our home. And I follow him as well as our family follows him. So I feel like that's the way it's supposed to be.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be offended at all.
She's like, answer the prayer. Shanice in the comments said, I would love to stay home. Okay. Any other people want to comment? If you want to stay home, you'd be happy with that? Raise your hand. If you want to comment, jump in. Yeah.
If I may, I don't think a man would necessarily say that. I think a man, first of all, is observing.
Yeah.
Via conversation, via dating, and things of that sort. So just his way of being will actually show whether he is that traditional type. So, for example, I have traditional ways. I hold the door. I literally get out the car and go around and open the door for my wife to get in the car. So I have traditional ways of which I am as a man. I never sat down and in a conversation with my wife said, I'm a traditional dude. I just went out and showed it. And I think most men will be that way. They're not just going to say, I'm a traditional dude. I'm okay with taking care. No, I don't think most men work that way. I think that they show it in their what we say as ways of being. That's how they show it.
So Jerome, I shouldn't make an assumption. Did you ever have the conversation whether she was going to be in the home or working out of the home? Did you guys never have that conversation?
No. We're two professionals, so there was no way I'm telling her to give up what she's doing.
But I'm saying, you didn't even have the conversation.
The conversation we did have was me living in North Carolina and coming back to New York. That was the conversation. But we were very clear with respect to our career paths and what it is. Our kids, and the story, and I know most people don't. This is my second marriage. My wife and I dated in high school. We reconnected via Facebook after 25 years. So we were very set in our ways. Our kids were grown. So it's not as if there was a be at home and take care of the kids. Mm-hmm. So, no, there was never that conversation. And the only one that really happened around that was, okay, she was clear. I like North Carolina. I'm not moving there. And I was okay with that. I'm a New York guy, and I didn't feel in the 14 years there, I didn't fit in North Carolina. So it was like, okay, I'm gonna come back to the crib. I'm coming back.
So did you, I'm sorry to cut you off. How did you, and this is too TMI, you don't have to answer. Did you just, I don't want to say miraculously because it's not being condescending, but did you guys just, everything fell into place as far as expectations around the house?
Around the house.
Because that's the conversation I'm talking about. Just to be clear, the conversation is, because whenever I've dated and it's gotten serious, we've had the conversation of who do we really see is going to be cooking? Who do we really see is going to be doing the bulk of the laundry? Who's the person we really see going to be grocery shopping? Who's the person that we see,
So it's funny. I do the laundry in the Hurd household. I do most of the cooking in the Hurd household. I love to cook. My wife is actually a better cook than I am. However, I'm a bad cook myself. I'm dope in the kitchen, and she will tell you that, right? But because her work was outside of the house and most of my work was inside of the house, I did the cooking. So I had no issues with that. The laundry, and it's so funny because we just had a conversation about this. I do not let my wife do the laundry. I don't even let my wife wash dishes. I pay too much for them nails to get done.
So you had no idea going in what her expectation was. You just started acting the way you did.
My way of being. She had an event and I snuck into New York and did her laundry because she said she wouldn't have time to do laundry. I snuck into New York and I took care of all of the laundry. She comes home to see the laundry folded, put away, done.
We just can't go past
one of a kind.
Listen.
No, I'm not.
Listen.
I am not. I am not.
I know he's not, but
I'm not.
It's her place to do her laundry.
It's the thoughtfulness. See, it's the thoughtfulness before the gender roles that is going to dictate how the gender roles move.
Yeah.
I saw what it is that she fell short in. I played ball up until college. I played point guard. Anything that needed to be done on the basketball court, Jerome Hurd could do it. I carry that over into life. If there's something that this woman falls short in, let me go get it. And I got it from here. When I tell y'all I don't let my wife do the laundry, I got a concussion at work last week. And still, I'm not supposed to be moving around. She needed laundry to be done, and she said she's doing it. I'm like, no, you're not. I got it. Go sit down. Let this man do what he does. Laundry done. Folded, put away, done.
Listen, he said I do the dishes because I pay too much on her nails. Listen, I'm in the season of my life.
Y'all know how much them wraps. Y'all know how much the wraps cost, right?
And a ride.
Yeah, y'all. I know.
Mixed up the design.
Y'all know how much them nails cost. I'm not getting no. What?
Jerome, you might get some hate mail. You might get some hate mail from the fellas.
Then them brothers are falling short.
And
I'm keeping
mine.
He's not lying.
A queen. I am keeping a queen. However, do not get it twisted. My wife makes sure her husband is good.
I was about to say, because we're going to come to her part. So please tell him, Jerome. Please tell him.
Please don't think that this street runs one way. It runs two. And if y'all knew who I was married to, y'all be like, I get you, homeboy.
She is a full-on businesswoman. So she's not sitting around going from nail appointment to spa treatment. So
she became chief diversity officer of a global company. Chief.
So what kinds of things does she do to hold you down? I'd like to, people to hear just some examples.
Date night is dope all the time. Honey, meet me here. I need to make sure that you looking good for this event we got coming up. I got dinner tonight, baby. I could go through. I will take care of your nails. We travel. There's not a single month that we're not on a plane going somewhere. And date night is not date night like normal people do it. Like we have date night coming up where we're gonna go to St. Louis and see Kim and Babyface. That's date night for the Hurts in St. Louis. We're in New York.
Well,
we could go to Madison Square Garden and see it, but we decided we're gonna go to St. Louis.
Well,
okay.
Right.
Now, see, that's out serving one another, right, Jerome? Wouldn't you think that you out serve one another? So gender roles, it's like it's a thing, but I like that you said gender ways. Like I have there's ways. I like that term.
Yeah, because I mean, and again, if you should see the looks I get in the laundromat when I'm doing the laundry. I was raised by a woman that said, I don't know if there's going to be a woman that'll be able to put up with you, so I'm going to teach you how to do it. So, and I get it in the laundromat. And I will not, and then going on 9 years, my wife and I have been married. She's done laundry twice.
Oh, wow.
Just twice.
Wow.
That's it.
Well,
So, I mean, it's just ways of being. Again, I see, and I see she doesn't like to do laundry. I got it, babe. She's too busy to work. I mean, not too busy to work, too busy to cook. I got it. But keeping the house clean, immaculate, she takes care of that. She's great. Only thing I have to do is the master bathroom. That's it. And my side of the room in the bedroom. There is a give and take, but it's not necessarily traditional defined roles. No.
Well, speaking of traditionally defined roles, let's say in our little hypothetical story, This guy says, look, I'm paying for everything. You will need for nothing. You don't even need to look into the bank account because there's enough. Just withdraw. Okay, let's just say in this hypothetical situation, do you feel that he needs to come and help with your duties in addition to his duties? So in this scenario, he is paying all the bills. Anywhere you want to go, anything you want to buy, the answer is yes. After he finishes working, do you have an expectation that he also help you with your duties when he comes home?
I'm backing off of that.
Uh-huh. I always heard that music. Do, 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 do.
I mean, I don't...
Oh, sorry, Natasha. Go ahead and then Veronica. Are you sure?
Go ahead, Veronica.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be like hard, like this is a line and it can't be crossed, drawn a line permanently. But I would, I think with both sides, so the traditional gender roles, if he has completely taken care of everything financially for the entire family, I wouldn't expect him to come home and do laundry or come home and cook on a regular basis. But I would expect both of us to be willing if we saw that there was a need. So if for some reason, if I was sick, if I wasn't feeling well and he came home and I was behind with dinner, or I had fallen behind with the laundry, or wasn't feeling well and couldn't do the laundry or couldn't do something for the children, I would want my partner to at least be willing to say, hey, you know what? Let me help my wife or let me help my family, and be willing to do whatever. Just the same way that I would feel if my husband, for some reason, financially took a loss, or financially something had been off as far as him providing for the family like he normally does. I would be willing to step up and supplement income. So maybe starting looking for some way to generate income for the family as well. I think it's important for both, even though I feel strongly about the traditional gender roles. I think that's something that should be, like, I think it's still something that should be considerate, because overall we're still one. So even though I'm looking at it like, oh, traditionally as a woman, I feel like these are my roles, and traditionally as a man, I think those are his roles. I think ultimately the goal is for us to be whole. So I would expect us to at least be willing to pick up the slack, for lack of better words, where we need to.
Okay, Natasha, I'm gonna let you comment, and then before I comment.
Yeah, so in this scenario, if he's got everything taken care of, then I should be able to manage the household in such a way where everything is delegated, right? So there would be a maid service, there could be
I was waiting for this.
All of that sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
because now the way he's offered his provision and protection, and I'll go back to one of the earlier questions too, but for this particular question, the way he's offered his provision and protection is, it's all taken care of. So I'm now liberated as the nurturer in the household to go ahead and nurture him, nurture the kids, and all of those other daily burdens are taken care of. On the provision and protection piece, Jerome gets an A++ for his provision, protection, and prayer, I think was the third one. Yonci, when I saw the title of today's video, I actually thought about, like, what would a third P be? But Jerome definitely wins, because my third P was passion, right? But to speak a little bit to Jerome's point, passion isn't just like the scandalous version of passion. I mean, it can be, but I think, taking care of things like the laundry, it's romantic. It's a type of passion. It shows his love in a different way for his wife. And I think it's a beautiful thing. But yeah, provision, protection, and passion is something that I think gentlemen bring to the table. And in this, again, perfect scenario, financially perfect scenario,
yes.
I think it's easily taken care of with some delegation and outsourcing.
Okay. Candace, I saw a little twinkle in your eye. Did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes. So my answer to that is I still would have an expectation for him to contribute. And here's why. If I am liberated financially, I still wouldn't feel comfortable sitting at home. Just personally, I would probably be doing passion projects or purpose projects. And so all of that time wouldn't be able to be spent at home. And so, because my children still need to rise up and call me blessed. My hands still need to work, you know? And so because I still need to make sure that I am in the will of God, even though the Lord has sent this man to be this covering for me. I know that as his woman, I cannot help him amplify his purpose if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. So if I take that stance of just sitting back and not doing anything, and I'm like, oh, well, he said everything is taken care of. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm like 95% sure that he still doesn't just mean for you to sit down all day. If you have that man that has that ambition, if you have that man that is making that top-notch money to be able to cover this, that, and the other, at some point, at some season, at some year in that marriage, he's going to get tired of seeing you at the same place that you were when he told you he had it.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate when it comes to this, because I believe, and this is somebody who did the homemaker thing for 12 years. I am actually separated, but technically I am a wife. It would have been 19 years, I guess, 20 years this year. Anyway, and so the thing is that the homemaker job is no small feat. I know that people have taken on their own. Oh, spammers are finally here. All right, so let me just go to bat really quick. All right, let me just remove these guys. We actually got really far without them today, so that was pretty cool. I think this is a record for how long it's taken them to come. Let's see. I wish there was like a really quick step to be able to get them. I always wonder if they really think that these messages are really going to be convincing to where people actually click them. Like, gosh, you know, that looks like such an inviting offer. Let me click on this link. Okay, so I think I got rid of it. I believe that when you are excellent at being a homemaker, especially if you have children, there's always something that can be done. I believe that, you know, there's the normal day-to-day cleaning, but then there's the biannual cleaning, you know, if that's the word. Certain things have to be rotated out every year. You are you're basically the house manager. So for me, all the staff had to be managed. If the gardener was, you know, messing up, I had to get in there and, hey, I've noticed you've been cutting this corner every time and da-da-da. There was always something that needed to go, they need to be helped. If there was a sprinkler burst, which happened, you know, I got to find somebody who is good at that. And I got to get 3 quotes, because that was the rule. We always had to get 3 quotes to find the best deal and things like that. One of the things that my husband said was, with you being a stay-at-home wife or mom, I want our kids to excel. There's no reason why they should not be speaking foreign languages. They should not be having, you know, exemplary skills. So I don't necessarily think that, you know, a person who has the means is sitting around, I like to say, eating bonbons and painting her nails. There is a lot when you do things excellently. Just taking the food alone, and granted, yes, if you have a chef, you know, that's one thing. But a lot of people can provide, but they can't provide to the point where they can outsource everything. That woman still needs to drive the kids to these sporting events. Even if you could hire a driver, this woman is not going to want to miss the practices. She's not going to want to miss the games. So if your children are involved in any activities, that's going to take up right there the majority of your time. So I say that to say, I don't want there to be too big of a disparity between, you know, these ideas of this hardworking woman and this lady who's just kind of sunbathing outside all day. That's the case. But I want to be very candid in a big reason why I wanted to have this conversation. One of the things that I have done for the past 7 years, and Jerome knows this, he's been around for a very long time in my private group. I want to speak up for those who tend to not have a voice. When it comes to relationships, a lot of men feel that their voices are not heard when it comes to anything other than sex. A lot of women put them in a category where it's like, they just want sex. And then they think of, what's a good gift for a guy? Well, just give him sex. It's Valentine's Day. What should you do? Give him sex. Like, they have been painted into this monolith, what's the sort of say? Like, they're just these one-dimensional creatures. Now, while they have a very high libido, typically, yes, they are multifaceted creatures. And one of the things that the men have confided in me, because I've tried really hard to create a safe space in my community, the men have said, on one side, there seems to be a hard and fast standard with everything relating to dating and marriage. And on the other side, it's, well, So I want to explore this concept, because if you put yourself in the shoes of the provider, right, just hypothetically speaking, let's say that we don't care which gender is, it's just the two roles. You have a homemaker and you have a provider. The same thing that women, and I'm saying on this panel, but you guys obviously don't speak for the whole group, but the same thing other women were saying as a reason why they wouldn't want to contribute to the house. So what they said was, if I was out working all day, I'm doing a 10-hour, 12-hour shift, multiple women said this, I don't want to come home and also have to do this. So I have to play devil's advocate and say, if it's not good for the goose, why is it being forced upon the gander? So I think these are conversations that make men respect us, because we can really take an honest look inside and say, do we have double standards? Are we being a bit hypocritical? And it's easy to do. I did it for 12 years. It took me about 12 years for my husband to finally get me through, because I kept seeing it and justifying it from my perspective. But when I was finally able to start looking at it from his perspective, I was like, oh, because I would do that. I would guilt trip him when he would come home from work and would just want a full hour to zone out. He's like, babe, just give me an hour to just sit on my chair and literally just be dumb, like not use any brain cells. He wanted to just veg out and watch ESPN. Please don't talk to me. Please don't do anything. And what I wanted to do, being a young wife and a young mom, oh my God, the second he came home, I'm like a puppy. See my puppy and talk to my puppy and let me tell you about the day and let me dump on you. And I want to find it. And it's like, I just had to deal with 200 salespeople. Like, my brain is. So I think it's easy for us to just kind of like throw out, I'm not saying you're throwing out stuff, but it's easy for us to just kind of throw things out. But sometimes we haven't had a chance to really flush it out. So that guy, if he's paying for everything, that means his job is probably pretty intense, because they don't pay the big bucks to the peons. So he's probably got heavy duties. Those are two totally different stresses. And again, personal experience. I am an entrepreneur, so I know what that feels like for the first time, wondering when I go to bed at night, am I going to hit my goals for next month? Every time my kids ask something, mentally I have to say, okay, what other projects can I do? What other things can I launch to be able to take care of this? When I was the homemaker, I slept like a baby. I mean, I do now too, because I've got, but I'm just saying, proverbially speaking, I had no care in the world. And my husband, whom I'm separated from, I have called him multiple times and I said, oh my goodness, God bless you. I would kiss your feet if I could. Like, the fact that you took this on every single day, and ask me how many times in 12 years this man complained about work. That would be a donut. He was more the Jerome type. He would get up 4:30, 5, drive 2 hours in traffic to work, come home. He never, ever, ever sat there and was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe these people. Never. He felt like that was burdening his spouse. So I say all that to say, are we really being fair when we're saying, take on this role? Oh, so I'm sorry. What I was going to say is, the mother's job, it's a different kind of stress. It's like your brain has to stay on at all times. And it's like being a prison guard. Like if you turn your back, you might get shanked. Okay. So, or the two kids might shank each other. So it's a different kind of stress. But when you're out working, I think sometimes the job itself can be easier, but you never get to mentally leave it because you're always aware that you could either get fired, you could get, whatever the case may be, the business could go away. Why do you think that? Oh, she's saying that to somebody else. So what do you guys think about that? Because I really want to flush this stuff out. Do we think that it's fair? Do we think that it's fair to ask the guy to do all of his work? Again, for those who are watching, y'all should go on YouTube, please. I'm teasing. I'm just serious. I got my Instagram open. Y'all could come over to YouTube. That would be really, really helpful. YouTube takes care of the content creators, so if you know what I mean. Come over to that platform, please. But, and you can see all the comments. And the cute, beautiful faces of the women who are on here. And Jerome is handsome too, but he's not a woman. But what do you guys think about that as far as expecting him to come home from a full day's work and then still jump in?
All right, so I have to say something. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Shantae. I'll go after you.
Okay, so I was definitely one of the people who said the 10 to 12 hour shifting and still being expected to perform, I should say. From my own personal experience, my ex and I, my son's father, he and I differed a lot on this topic. And when I talk to a lot of my guy friends, we all have the same kind of back and forth, respectful conversations. But he was the type that was very, women should do this. My mother and my father, they were married. I saw my mom do this. She had 6 children. She could do this, that, and the third, and all of that, and she could do it all. Okay, I understand that your mother was Superwoman. Did she have help? Did your father help? I would ask him certain questions about the way that he grew up because he and I first grew up very differently. Like, I grew up seeing women do the majority of everything, even though they had a man sitting there. And I have to admit that some of my upbringing and some of the upbringing of anyone that I might have been interested in would always clash to where I feel as though I'm at a point now where I've grown and matured that, as far as gender roles, I think I'm going to agree with Jerome here. I don't think that it should be anything that's for a gender. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you see something, go ahead and just have it done and handled. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't wait around all day for someone else to come home and take care of you. You know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily agree with that. But when it comes to doing what you're supposed to do, everyone wants a clean home. Everyone wants to eat and things like that. I just think that it should be reciprocal. Like, I feel like every couple nowadays should go ahead and define their own gender ways and gender roles, whatever works for you and your household, whatever makes you and your wife happy, whatever keeps, you and your woman, you and your man completely pleased every night and not killing each other before y'all go to bed. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of thing. But with me and in my last situation, sometimes our schedules were different. I had a child from a previous relationship. He was very good to my daughter from a previous relationship. He and I had a son together. We lived together, weren't married. I have been married before, but he was the type where, women just don't want to be women anymore. And I'm like, what do you mean?
So I have a question for you. Are there any, because this is my thing. I'm not going to pick a side through this entire conversation. What I am going to always do is take the scales and ask if they're balanced. So if we say this, I'm going to ask you, well, what's it look like to make it look like this? So here's my question to you. If you take the stance that gender roles should not be defined, I would then ask you, are there any roles that are defined for men in your mind? And before you answer that, I'm going to say like this. Laying in bed at night and you hear, and no one else is supposed to be in the room. Are you jumping out of bed and defending him? Or in the back of your mind, is there an expectation that he's doing it? Here's a second scenario. You guys are going on a trip. You have an extremely heavy bag. You pack all the shoes in your closet. And he's out there ripped, shoulders broad, you're petite, you're 4'11", 100 pounds wet. And he grabs his bags and he's like, woo! And he's like, come on, babe. That's scenario 2. You got your heavy bag. Number 3, you're outside sipping lemonade on your porch, and all of a sudden you hear tss, you out in the country somewhere, and you see something moving through the grass. Are you jumping up and grabbing that?
Ooh, this got thick.
I'm just saying. Let's say it's cold outside and it's freezing and there's ice along the path, and someone needs to go outside and shove it. Now, I'm not being funny. I really want to force people to think. In those scenarios, honestly, ladies, are in the back of your head, are you judging that man who sees the elderly woman struggling with her bags, trying to get out the door? Are you judging Jerome if you see him as a stranger letting that woman walk? Or in all those scenarios, he jumps on the chair and goes, ah! And I have to get the snake. Are you judging him? Or are you saying, gender doesn't matter. He's entitled. He could have a fear of snakes. He's entitled to be like that.
If we both jump on a chair about the snake, who gonna get it? Because listen, look, I understand. If you get up there, I've already beat you. I was waiting on you.
She said I already beat you. She's like, we make room for you on the chair.
Like, so how are we gonna tackle it? So then, to your point, I get those are very great examples, by the way, because all of those in my head were like, these are men gender ways.
Great example.
Thank you, Mo Lips. I appreciate that.
And Shantae, I could see the look on your face. You were like, wow, I think you had a moment, sis.
And I applaud that.
I had Yonci brought me back to reality, because the answer to all of your questions are
Negro, please. Negro, please.
Yes. Let me tell you, while I'm not that afraid of snakes, but I know that they're very fast and they can, spit stuff and all that. For me, it would be a spider,
Yeah.
Like, don't matter the size, whatever, but listen, if I see him jump on that chair and scream like a girl before I can even react to the snake.
See, she just said like a girl.
Like a girl.
Right. And I love it. But I legit want to give you a golf clap. I really want to give you a golf clap. And this is not a patronizing golf clap. This is the reason why most people are ego driven. Yeah. And even if they have that epiphany, because I saw it too, Jerome, I saw it in her eyes. Yeah. I didn't know whether you were going to hold on to ego and figure out a way where you could double down and triple down on your original statement, or if you were a woman who loves truth. Yeah, and I applaud you because you're the latter. I have so much respect for somebody who goes, let me actually think about it. And I saw you. I could hear like the gears going. Yes. And the person that says, let me stop and think about it, I respect that, because I don't expect anyone to know everything out the gate or have the same beliefs out the gate as you will on your deathbed. We should be ever evolving and ever growing. And that's why I want to use my platform to just suggest and offer, because, and I got to shout out to my husband, because he was the one who came up with that theory. This was way back before he met me. They were on a trip, men and women, and they had been having this debate about gender roles, and the women were like, look, and then it came time for the car to be emptied and the bags to be taken up that ugly old hill in the cabin, and all the ladies just took their purses, and the men were like, oh, you.
So let me say this, right? Number one, my wife would run out the room as well. I have many times have jumped out the bedroom and come out and have to say to her, go back into the room, like seriously, because like, what are you doing? Like, so she would. The bag is the bag, and it just happened that she traveled, and we traveled when we were going to Africa, we traveled, and I said, well, I'm going to check both of my bags. So she said, well, my carry-on is going to be light, so that's fine. We usually will take our carry-on, the pulley bag, and put like the carry-on, the second bag, and, push it on that to make it lighter. I left mine, and I had to carry her bag. And when we got to the gate, I sat down and I said, let me tell you something. I love you, but if you want me to do this, you are going to not check your carry-on bag and you are going to push this yourself. I made the choice that I'm checking mine and I was going to lighten up my carry-on. You need to follow suit. I am not doing this for you anymore. And that's not a man-woman thing. For me, that is, babe, you need to be considerate of me as well. Because that most airports, when you're traveling internationally, it's a long way from the time you get off of that plane to where you have to get to where you have to go. And I'm good, but I don't want to do this. And I made the choice that I'm going to check mine. That means if you want me to carry your bag, shorty, you need to lighten it up for me to do this.
Look, my daddy told me we went to Europe for 6 weeks. I don't know where I thought I was going, but I packed for New York. Okay, that's where I packed for. Just in case you don't know, European cities have cobblestone roads.
Yes, they
so
do.
I was schlepping full-on suitcases, and he was like, look, if you're gonna pack like a lunatic, because we were gonna be we're jumping from city to city, so it wasn't like we had one trip to the hotel, take everything on with a bellhop, and then at the end of the 6 weeks take it out. No. We were going from Italy to Spain. We're on trains and things. So he told us how to pack. My behind still packed 35 different pairs of shoes, okay? So I was 6 weeks carrying those doggone shoes and had gone shopping so much. And oh my Lord, I will never again. Quickly.
Can I share? I want to share something, right?
Yes.
My wife and I went to Kenya and we went to safari and we saw something that forever, I wish every man and woman had the opportunity to see what we saw. So while we were in the safari, it was very early in the morning and we drive up and we see other vehicles who are in safari surrounding something. When we drove up, we saw like 4 lioness and they had like 6 or 7 cubs. They had killed a buffalo and that was their meal for the day. They were eating a buffalo, right? So when all of the cubs, I guess the lioness had eaten first. When the cubs were finished, the lioness, like there was 4 of them, one went first, and I actually have this on video. One went first, 2 or 3 little cubs went behind that lioness. Then they all of the lioness led the cubs away. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, because I know how lions and lioness work, I'm thinking to myself, where is the king? Where is the lion, right? We turn our vehicle and we start to go up the hill. Who is sitting there overseeing all of this but the king?
Okay, Mufasa.
He's watching over his... I have photos of this, Yonci. He is watching over his... He killed that buffalo for his family to be able to eat. He ate first, went off, sat there, and is watching over his family to make sure everybody was good.
He was from New York, huh?
He was a Leo the lion. I'm a Leo the lion. This is how we do. Okay? This is how kings are. And that was the first one. But then an hour or 2 later, we come across a lion and lioness laying under a tree. And all of these vehicles are coming around. The lioness is falling asleep. Anytime a vehicle moved, it was the lion that got up and was looking around to see what was going on. That lioness never moved because she knew
her man's head was on a swivel.
That king had her. And so when we talk about protection, and like for me as a man, it's sitting there and watching that, I'm saying to myself, this is what I want my wife to be able to experience, that she never has to ever, like when we talk about protection in so many ways. It's not just protection that, yo, I got you in the streets. It's not just that.
Yes.
It's that peace of mind that when the door closes, she does not have to worry that something I may have done in the streets is going to cause her harm when we get back to the house.
Or that you have a gambling addiction and you're going to lose the house. She never has,
and she never has to worry about, I never want her to have to worry about something like that. Mm-hmm. For me as a man to see an animals in Mother Nature be able to operate that way, it just solidified my mindset that, yeah, that lioness, she never had to move her head.
Yeah.
Because she knew she was covered.
She
and
was sleeping
that's
good.
The way that I want to live my life, in that same way, that my wife never has to move her head, her heartbeat never has to skip. I got this. I got you in whatever way that I need to have you. And again, protection is more than just that one thing that a woman needs from her man. Protection has so many layers to it.
Yeah.
And that's what I would like. I try to provide to her on a daily.
I think that protection also comes to emotions. When I did the post, I don't know if you guys saw it, but I said, when a woman is ready to get married, I did a contrast. When a man is ready to get married, this is what he looks for in a wife, a potential wife. And when a woman is ready to get married, this is what she looks for in a husband. And one of them is he going to protect her heart? You want him to protect your body, but you also don't want to have a dictator that says, this is what's going, I made a decision, she's going to want someone who says, I've taken into consideration what you said, love. This is what I think is the best thing. And what I want to add from a biblical perspective, by the way, if you guys are new to the conversation, please hit that like button if you're enjoying it. Thank you so much. It really helps YouTube know that this content is being enjoyed, because there's no other way they would know. They can't see you sitting like this. So just hit that like button if you wouldn't mind. But in the Bible, this is what was so beautiful. Back in the day, if a woman made a commitment or she did something similar to a child who hasn't hit 18, there's certain things, if you're a kid, they don't prosecute you to the fullest, or sometimes they don't even prosecute you at all. That's what it was like for the woman. She was so covered that if her husband did XYZ, she's totally off the hook. Same thing for decisions. At the end of the day, the man is going to have to stand before God and say, as for me and my house, ... So a lot of times I tell the women, don't be mad that in the hierarchy, you're not at the top. If you've ever been somewhere, you don't want to be at the top. Because along with the recognition and the power, that's the heads that are getting cut off first. You see, when someone embarrasses a network, it's not the person who cleans the bathrooms that are getting their jobs cut. It's that head. Who is the head? Who's the face of NBC? Who's the face of Fox? Who's the anchor? That's the person so there's always a balance. And this is where, pardon me, y'all, I'm get passionate right here. But this is where, we have to look at both sides. We cannot only look at our part. I don't like being the hands, because the feet get to see everything that gets to go. Everything that they get to choose where we're going to go. And the feet's like, I wish I could be the hands because I got blisters and these shoes are rubbing my feet. We constantly can compare when it comes to other people in general, but especially when it comes to dating and relationships. If we stop and really listen to what the other person is going through and what they need, we would have so much more fulfilling relationships. What I hear men say, and I'm an advocate for men because the majority of the people are women, and women, we already know what we want. We know it. We all agree on it, okay? We want a man who's consistent and protects. Okay, so we already know it. Well, what the women don't understand is that what a lot of the guys are asking for are not even asking you to go out and do, because that's masculine energy. What the men are asking for is for you to be. And guess what they're asking you to be? Be kind. Be calm.
Lady in the streets, freak in the sheets.
That part. Don't be calm then. Be considerate. Be patient. Be thoughtful. Be feminine. Be graceful. Defend me if my name is being, challenged. Look out for me, even if that means just have a sandwich because you knew I've been working super, super hard. You know that I really, really like this particular group, and you went out and you bought a ticket for it, or you saw a t-shirt. Literally, that's the part that breaks my heart, because as women, we have a laundry list of and he's expected to do that from the second you say, hello, my name is. He don't know you from a hole in the wall, but he is supposed to protect and provide and pay for the date and do all that stuff, which I'm not saying is a problem. But all he's asking in return is for a thank you, or dress up to where it looks like you actually wanted to be on the date, or don't ask to take food home for your kids. When I heard that was a real thing, I had to collect myself.
You better speak on it.
I had to collect myself. All my pearls were, I was like, what?
It's a real thing.
Men
and saying thank you is huge. Because I see so many women day in and day out expect men to open the door.
That's what you're supposed to do. That's what they say. Why you want to thank you?
I don't know him, but but he's supposed to. No, thank you. Because this could have hit my face. And you could have been justified because you was walking through the door yourself. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
In the book,
I think if you talk to most men and ask them their love language, most will say words of appreciation, right?
Right.
And when we as men get words of appreciation, we then want to hear it over and over. So we will then act accordingly so we could hear it. And
like
I don't think most women get that. I don't think that women understand that. Just the words. Oh, wow. I appreciate, like me, I take out the garbage, but what I always forget to do is put a garbage bag back. But my wife came to the conclusion, I don't like going out to take out the garbage. So Jerome, I appreciate you taking out the garbage. Don't worry about it. I will put a bag in there. Don't worry about it.
That's the glass half full.
Yeah.
And I love that. With my husband, his was acts of service only because it was his way of feeling like I'm not doing all this for nothing. So if I get up at crack of dawn, I'm sitting in traffic, I'm doing all this stuff. The fact that you took the time to put a little something together, and Lord knows I didn't know how to cook when we first met. I was busting open some Campbell soup cans. Not even the good kind, not even progressive. I was making manwich sandwiches, grilled cheese. But thank God his mother came and lived with us for a while after the hurricane. Okay, him and his father. I said, thank you, Jesus, for Hurricane Katrina, because I learned how to cook from a Louisiana woman. But anyway, that's besides the point. Praise the Lord. But that was his thing. And it was like a dagger when he was practically killing himself to provide for me and our two children. And I was too lazy to get up and do that for him. If we went somewhere and he was doing all this stuff, he'd ask me, oh, can you fill out the paperwork? And I used to resent that. Why I got to fill out the paperwork? But then I thought, I'm going on a lavish vacation. Why can't I fill out this paperwork for the rental car? A lot of it I realized was ego. I did not like feeling like I was somehow inferior to him. But guess what? It was a personal insecurity. It was a personal, because he didn't feel less than about me. And I was projecting. And I see this with a lot of my sisters now that I'm not healed all the way, but I'm just in that area. I'm not struggling. But there's such this thing that the world, I talk about the Matrix wants to pit us against each other. So the biggest thing was telling women who were up here, okay, this is women were up here in society. You're not being treated as equals as men. And they went, oh, you're right. We are not being treated as equals. Now we're equals. Y'all, did you catch that? Women were up on a pedestal. Men who cursed like sailors would immediately bite their tongue when a woman came into the room. He would stand. He would take off his hat. He wouldn't say certain things. Men would literally be willing to be killed to defend the honor of a woman. You call a woman something, you say something, he's ready to have a duel and actually die just for her honor. She wasn't even being physically threatened. It was just her honor. Oh no, you're not going to speak about my lady. Okay. So we were in a position where, yes, I'm not going to act like everything was perfect in the 40s and 50s. It was far from that. But when it comes to honor, there was an honor. Even with men cheating, okay, if I could bear with me. But even with cheating, there was not a blatantness. So if there is a way of being respectful while cheating, please don't take this clip and just make it seem like I'm condoning cheating, because that's not what I'm doing. But I'm saying people at least, weren't trying to put people on blast. So there would be discretion and things like that. So we have now, we're going to be equal. Well, now what do we have? Now we've got two people working. which does what to inflation? It drives up the cost of living, which means now, even if you wanted to stay home with your kids, most people who want to can't, because the economy is based on two incomes now. If I'm selling TVs and appliances, I'm going to raise my price now that I know two of you are working. You sure as heck can afford this washing machine at this higher price. So now it penalizes the people who want to stay home. So personally, I have a big issue when the gender roles were totally changed, only because there were not allowances made for all the other repercussions. So am I having a problem with someone working? No, I'm a YouTuber and a content creator. I love being able to do what I want to do. So I don't have an issue with that. I'm not saying I should be barefoot in the kitchen. What I'm saying is there's a term with golfing. When a good golfing etiquette is when you chuck that ball and you accidentally knock up some grass, it's called replacing your divot. You don't just go play your game and put all these little holes in the ground. A good golfer does his swing and then pats that patch back in so that it's nice and even for the next person. So my thing is, ladies, if we are going out and we are creating careers for ourselves for whatever reason, because we feel like we need to, or we just want to have that extra money, what are we sacrificing when it comes to the home? For me, I wanted to go out and work because my ego, I'm being perfectly honest, I wanted to feel like I had the same respect that the world gave my husband. But guess what happened? When I went out and got a job, all it did was cover the childcare costs. So now my kid's getting raised by a person who does not love them and would give their life for them. And we have net zero. We've netted zero. So exactly, she said a daycare is like $300 a week per kid. So it's like this. I'm not having this conversation trying to be, sensational. I'm not trying to send women back into the cave days. I want to have a real conversation that's void of emotions and really logically think it through. Because really giving it a lot of thought, I think that the ideal situation is when a woman doesn't have to work. Because most women say they enjoy their career, but they like just knowing there's a safety net of his income. It's not all the weight of the world on our shoulders. Women are not designed to have that weight on our shoulders. We can birth a baby with a big old head, but we're not designed to carry the weight of the world financially. So this brings me to the question, which pardon me for being so long-winded, how do we replace the divot, ladies? How do we say, man, I want you to protect me if a boogeyman comes in. I want you to kill all bugs on command. I want you to throw the trash out, do all the heavy lifting, and pay for all the stuff. But I want you to help me at the I'm saying? Where is the, how do we balance that out? That's the question that's on the table.
Yeah, I don't think it's a difficult thing. Like, we make it difficult in today's times, but we have the blueprint. So I know, Yonci, you are in the Word, Proverbs 31, right? And the Proverbs 31 woman, whether or not we want to debate if she's an actual person or, a representation of something else. But let's say she's an actual person. She woke up super early in the morning. She took care of the household, the servants of the household, had her own business, if you want to be super specific, right? She was selling her linens, and everyone in the town, or I think it was city, called her blessed, right? Her children called her blessed. It is absolutely plausible, even in today's society. We're 2022. I can speak for myself. At the turn of the century, when I had my kids, some people don't believe I have kids that old, I and my ex at the time, my children's father, we had a conscious conversation. I was able to work from home, right? So work from home is this big conversation that people have been doing for the past 2-3 years. But no, it's been possible since the internet, we had dial-up, right?
Yes.
It's been possible the whole time. So I think when you are strategic and you're thinking about that balance in your family, you've got the leadership and the vision very clarified and structured for your family, a lot of those pieces fall into place, and it's not that complicated. So if the idea is to get balance, especially when I hear, Jerome, relating his real life as a human man and a leader of his household, talk about how he saw, the lion and the lionesses and the cubs interact with each other. That's a lot of stress for one person to do. Jerome, I'm sure your wife is very thankful and grateful for all the things that you do. But even just hearing you talk about it, whether it's in the lion scenario as an animal or for yourself, I just felt a lot of stress. And so why wouldn't I want to help my partner de-stress?
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, that's just how I think of it. It's possible to have balance. It's not super complicated. Just have the conversation.
So does anyone else, thank you so much for that. Does anyone else have a suggestion? I love that you were saying stay at home. One of the reasons why I love what I'm doing specifically is because it allows me to still be that nurturer. I'm with my daughter 24/7. I actually went double down even harder, and I recently took her out of public school. Well, she's still in public school, but it's online now. I took her out of the brick and mortar school and put her into private because she didn't like, this is not the reason, but she didn't like the school lunches, for example. So I'm trying to think of what things, because she doesn't have access to a microwave, so I can't pack her something, have her put in the fridge and then eat it. So she's going to eat processed food if I pack her a lunch, and then whatever they're making her is probably going to be really processed. So now she's able to eat, if she gets hungry, I bring her a banana, I can make her a meal. And there's just so many things that I can do more organically with her. But I absolutely love this. I make my schedule. I make everything that I need to do to be able to take care of her. So I love what you're saying about if you want to be creative, inventive. I noticed after doing the homemaker thing, I was not satisfied. I did not feel fulfilled creatively, even after I got over the ego part. And it wasn't about like, I need to have respect too outside the home. Because by the way, nobody gives you an award for cleaning toilets. It's so rude. Like there's no like trophies at the end of the year for most clean or, how many meals were cooked from scratch. Like it's crazy. And I was kind of resentful because he would literally get awards. Like there would be full on award ceremonies where you would dress up. People were getting sent on lavish trips, rewarding the people. And it was like, man, there's no love being a homemaker. And unless your husband just comes home and just gushes over you, nobody cares, really. They just care when it's not done. So men listening, understand that is very difficult psychologically if someone is busting their tail and nothing is said if it's left undone. But I want to say
my question to you with respect to that is, was it ego or was it competition?
I think my ego made me want to compete.
Yeah. So, and it's, I think so many relationships, when we get into relationships, that competition with our spouse on things, for example, like career, that we can get in trouble with that. And this was, I'm intentional about saying I'm never in competition with you. I'm pulling the rope from the same side as you.
He would say
because
the same
I
thing.
know, it's just, there's so much out there in society and in life that is difficult for women, especially Black women, right? And I know it's Women's History Month, and I know about equity pay and things of that sort, right? So I make it as much as my wife is a big cheerleader of mine, I make sure I am a bigger cheerleader of hers, because I know it's much harder for her out there than it is for me. So I don't want to be in competition with her. I want her to understand that my success is our success. Her success is our success. So
why
pulling in the same way, that can only make us grow and make us stronger for the storms that may be brewing and to come.
Do you know why? Honestly, because hindsight is 20/20. Looking back, the reason why I was so competitive came from a place of insecurity. The reason was, and I've stated this on my confessional video on why my marriage failed, because I was so incredibly lazy. Like if there was an award for most lazy, I would have probably gotten hands down. I was so lazy and self-centered that I was not holding it down the way I said I would as a homemaker. And therefore, I think it felt easier because I really do think in a lot of ways it's easier to go to that job. What's harder is the weight of the world. So it's not the job because the jobs are easy to me. It's the weight of the world knowing that if I screw up, my whole family is going down. But I believe that if I had been doing that Proverbs 31 thing, if I was how I am now back then, I would not have felt any way because he would have been so enamored. He would have been so head over heels because I would have been holding it down. But I was lazy as sin. So I definitely think that that's what played a part. And I think that if you know that you're a teammate who's holding down your part, there's no resentment. But it's kind of like that immature thing. When you know you're not holding up your end, it's easier to kind of like make it seem like the problem is somehow external, which is like how. But it's more of that subconscious guilt coming in where you're like, I'm not holding it down. So maybe I can just do this over here. But don't do what I did, people. Learn from my mistakes. Okay. Don't throw away. I just looked at the time. Y'all, this was such a good conversation. I didn't even notice. So whoever wants to stick around, stick around. I don't have a 9 to 5. I have to get up for tomorrow. So look,
I have one other thing to say, and this comes from my experience with men that do, and I lived as an adult amongst affluent people, and it always bothered me because I think they used the fact that they were in the positions that they were as a method of control over their significant others.
Let's get into it.
So, and I think in a lot of ways that might scare women because, or that might be something that's in their mind, that a man may use their finances as a vehicle for control. And I get it because it does, and I saw it happen in my own family to witness my own flesh and blood as somebody who was humble as could be, all of a sudden get to a place where now all of a sudden I couldn't even recognize who he was. I'm sitting on his couch and, his wife had just had the baby. She's in the shower and the baby's crying and he's yelling for her to go get the baby. And I'm looking around like, dude, go get the baby. But his mindset was like, no, I work. I earn this. And I'm like, for me, that just didn't vibe with me.
Yeah.
And I remember the conversations him and I had, and I was like, dude, if you don't do this, this woman is going to flee. And actually, that's what happened. So if we do put that on the table for our woman, we have to also balance our ego with respect to just because you are the caretaker and you are handling this financially, that does not mean that you get to wield a sense of control over this human being that they don't have any say or that they must jump at it, and you can't in some way fill in some holes when necessary. So I think that piece needs to also be clear and discussed because I've seen it in more times than I care to count, and it leaves that spouse, and I'm saying that because I've seen it from the other way as well.
Yes, yep.
It leaves so broken, and I also understand why celebrities choose other celebrities, for example. I get that, right? So it's just so vital that we make sure we have that balance,
right?
Because if there's not that balance, egos now all of a sudden come and become involved, and it's not a good look. It really is not.
I think that is awesome. I had something to add, but I want to give someone else a chance to speak if there was anything that the ladies wanted to add to that. or respond
That's
to.
what I actually grew up seeing, is exactly what he just said. Whew, I'm gonna try to fight back tears because it was triggering. You know, it baffled me. Oh Lord.
we keep it 100 here, so it's a safe space, love.
You know, like I would see my grandmother sit there and, you know, just struggle, you know, and she had a husband, you know, who was the caretaker, the breadwinner, you know, my granddad, you know, and things like that. You know, but he was also, you know, an alcoholic, which didn't make him very easy to be around. You know what I'm saying? You know, he would say things he was just very dictating, you know? And I remember as a young girl just seeing all these different aspects of relationships that I had as examples as to what I should want when I get older. And I was like, if this is marriage, if this is love, if this is children, if this is what women should do, miss me with it. I'm going to be single forever.
Yeah.
And I'm going to buy a puppy because this is not okay with me. Like, I don't like any of this. And then the other end, the women were tired. So they're angry. Mm-hmm. So they're now masculine. So now they are taking out whatever frustrations they have from what they don't have with their partner onto the children.
Right.
And, you know, the kids are just like, whoa, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? Wait a minute.
They're like, I didn't ask to be here. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I ain't asked for nothing, you know? But it's just, I just realized that by having this conversation, I have been, you know, in my own relationships, I've made, you know, my own bad decisions from not knowing who I really am, and also from acting from a place of masculine energy.
Right.
You know, I can do it all. I don't really need you to do anything. Yes. Just forget it. Yes. Forget I asked you. Forget it. Just forget it. I can take my own trash out. Forget it. I can go ahead and get registered and have a Glock. You know, whatever. But I said, you know what? That energy is exhausting because I'm working. I am a single mother to 2 children. I have a girl and a boy. I have to make sure that I am not teaching them from a place of anger and bitterness. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, ooh, Jesus. I said, you know what? It is okay for, you know, for women and for men to, you know, have these conversations. But when you truly have a partner, when you truly don't have to be, you don't have to play both roles, really is what the issue is. I think the issue is, it's not the roles that's the issue. It's not the ways. It is having to play them both.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And I've had to do that for so long. It's like, you know what? Actually handing the reins over to someone who is completely capable, a little bit of that scares me, but you have no idea how much relief that will be.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, you can pretty much get whatever you want from me, sir, if you do your part.
And you touched on a big thing, which this is so hard for me to talk about, you know, really express in just Instagram posts, because you get these little sound bites and people's attention spans or whatever. But what I want people to understand is that we're supposed to be dating from a place of love. The opposite of love is not hate. A lot of people assume, oh, the opposite of hate is love. Love is hate. The opposite of love is fear. And when fear is your motivation, it's the fear of being used. It's the fear of being mistreated. It's the fear of not being loved. You then become protective. You come in protective, but that same protectiveness looks like this to the person. Like, oh, you're ready to fight. No, I'm actually trying to protect myself. So now the other person's like, well, I better put my dukes up too. And now you have 2 people who are in this posture. The thing is that if you come into a relationship and you have self-control, this is why I harp on getting rid of the spirit of desperation. If you have that, stop there, because do not pass go. If you sense you have a spirit of desperation, I always tell people, you don't have to admit this in the post, but if you tap in and you're like, yeah, I'm real desperate for a man, or I'm real desperate for a woman, stop there. Because when you're desperate, when they say desperate times call for desperate measures, and you're not going to be able to do any of the other things I'm about to say. But for the people who aren't desperate, you have to pump the brakes. because time is the one thing that is on your side. Time is the thing that will allow you to take inventory of these characteristics. But what does the Matrix say? If they're hot enough, just rush to the bed. Just rush to the bed. Or with the ladies, you need to focus on romance. He needs to wine and dine you and romance you. And the focus is getting laid and getting treated like a princess. When the focus should be, I always grab my little clipboard, you should be sitting back taking notes. I'm getting to know Jerome. Okay, he's a cool guy. He's handsome, whatever. Okay, but there's time for all that making out stuff. Let me see how he handles himself. Let me see how he acts when someone's disrespectful of me. Let me see how he acts when I'm having a tough day. Let me see how he acts when I'm in pain. Let me see how he acts when I'm disappointed and I've opened up and vulnerable. Let me see how he acts when I give him something that's very private and dear to me. Is he the guy who comes back and throws it back in my face in an argument? Does he argue, or does he use his big boy words to communicate with me without calling me outside my name? By the way, Jerome, she reminds me so much of Betty from our group. I'm like, it's mentally, I keep wanting to call her Betty because of it. Sorry, Candace, but you're so
no,
sweet.
It's okay.
Your energy, just everything screams Betty, this woman, and your look, everything.
Can I just say something?
No, go ahead.
When you said that, sit back and take the notes. My pastor said something to me. And she said, allow a person to be who they want to be so you can see who they prefer to be.
Oh, could you say that again? Did you guys hear that? They didn't hear.
Did you?
Yeah, say it again.
Okay, mine didn't either. Again, say it again. Allow a person to be who they want to be so you can see who they prefer to be. And I was like, I do that. And then it hit me and I was like, oh, that's good.
I'm typing in the comments. Allow the person to be who they want to be.
So you can see who they prefer to be. And that is so good. When I meet these men, I allow them to be who they want to be. I allow myself to be who I want to be. And you better get a real prop.
She said, that's how we do it? Okay.
And we see if we're a good match.
That's it.
Every time we get to a first date, it's like, I got to see if this is because we're so desperate. The first date got to tell me an answer. The first date got to tell me an answer.
Or worse, not even tell me an answer, because that insinuates that she's even paying attention. She's trying to make sure he picks her. So she's like, let me make sure my dress is hot enough, my face is cute enough, my conversation. Let me read my list of what I need from him so that I can spoon feed him so that he can do all the things right. So pick me. And then guess what? He actually does pick you, and you never took the time to see who he was. Then you want to turn around and DM me, I'm in this relationship with this asshole. I'm sorry. Who put a gun to your head? Well, we did date for at least 72 hours.
Well,
but then that's why. Go ahead, Jerome.
That also requires us doing the work on ourselves, right? I mean, when I got divorced after 20 years of being married to my first wife, I did work on me. Number one, to heal my heart. Mm-hmm. Number two, to rediscover who I was, because I got lost in who Jerome really was in that marriage. To reclaim my individualism and the best of who I could be, because it wasn't until the marriage started going downhill that I discovered real manhood, because I didn't have an example of a man in my life. So it was as I started to really exert my manhood that she started pushing back on that, because I hadn't shown her that in the way that she thought I should have been showing her that in the first 15 years of our marriage. Now, all of a sudden, I'm exerting my manhood in the way that God meant me to exert it, and she wasn't cool with that. So I now had to rediscover who I was. I had to do work on me. And when I did the work on me, I was able to now look for someone who could be a partner of mine that was going to be okay with, okay, this is who he is. And it's amazing, because the person that I rediscovered knew me as a young man. And now to see me as a grown man, she was like, I could see that this was who you were going to become. She could see that in me. So we have to do the work. I mean, and I have so many female friends who jump from relationship to relationship, but never take the pause in between to heal their hearts. So then when you don't heal your hearts, you're carrying over the stuff that broke you or tore you down from that first relationship over to the next. And yes, you're coming with your guards up.
Residue and soul time.
And we could sense that. To be clear, we could sense that.
Thank you.
And if you want love, you got to be love.
Jerome, say that, because even the comments, I know that there's no audio for the comments, but I can see and hear.
You can hear a neck roll.
You can hear a neck roll. It's like, I'm like, okay, these women don't understand. And this is not coming from a place of judgment. I'm a big sister, auntie, whatever our age difference is. But when I read this, my heart is grieved because I'm like, girl, you don't realize how toxic you sound.
I couldn't get through a lot of your comments. I couldn't. And that's just honest. I was like, I read a few and I was like, well, I'm going to just leave mine and go.
I'm good. I'm good. Come for me. Come for me. I'm okay. I'm in love and I can show you how to love. Right?
Right. Because we are love.
Good. Yeah. Because I made a conscious decision that I'm going to be love. Right. And you know, I always say to my wife, I'm not only your husband when we're together, I'm your husband behind your back when you ain't even there.
That part.
Right? So I'm about being love. My last name is Hurt, but you could take that HURT out of there and put LOVE, and it's gonna be the same thing because that's what I believe we need. Yeah. And if a woman wants love and you can't be love, then you're not going to draw that to you. And that starts with healing your heart. And it's so vital. It's not something that people do. They just jump from one to the next thinking and not even realizing that's the same thing you just left behind.
You just repeated it. And Jerome, when you're talking about healing, let's talk about the guys, right? So the guy that acts like a dictator, it's because he hasn't healed.
Oh, absolutely.
When a person is so power hungry, it's because there's something that they fear. And that's why I said, when you're motivated by fear, you are always going to lose. It's a lose-lose scenario. And so that person who comes in, there's a reason people have an iron fist. It's because they don't really feel like they know any other way of doing it. And that man is craving respect because that's the way God designed you guys. You want respect, and women want adoration. And adoration and love. And so that man thinks that the only way I can get respect is to choke it out of her emotionally. Not realizing that if he's gentle and kind, if he acted a little bit like what Jerome has described, all the women were going, swoon. And there's respect. They didn't, you didn't have to be Ike Turner, and that doesn't even glean you respect. That is fear. You get fear from that. So it's not even like you can force respect. But like they say, a leader is a person who people choose to lead and want to follow. I'm sorry, a leader is someone who people want to follow. A boss is somebody who dictates that they must follow. And so when a man has done the work, he can still be that authority figure. He can still, ladies, what do we always say? We don't mind a man who can tell us to sit down sometimes. Because
I walk into the room a leader. I don't walk into the room and pronounce myself as a leader.
Right. Yeah.
I walk into the room and just again, my way of being, it's me as a leader. And all of a sudden now, individuals that are in that room gravitate to me.
I was going to say, you're a leader if you turn around and see that there are people being led. If I
did that in high school. I went to fight somebody for my brother, and I turn around and there's 200 people behind me. And I say to my brother, where did they come from? It's because of you.
And if nobody's behind you, you're just taking a walk.
Look, but you got the name badge. Hello, I am a leader. And you built it in with your little marker. And you like, I'm a leader. And you're like, of who? Because they ain't nobody following you.
And some of the time, the leader is the silent one in the room. He's observing.
That's it.
I'm the most observant person in the room.
That quiet storm.
Like I can pick everybody's thing in the room. I could tell who's gonna be my ride or die, who's gonna stab me in the back. And I have to say that comes from me being, for example, a basketball coach. I could walk into a gym and tell who's the best player, who's the guy that everybody's gravitating to that I'm going to need to make sure that my team does not allow to beat us. I just have that. So I don't walk into the room and say, all right, y'all, I'm the leader. Nah, it just happens. And I don't ask for it. I don't pronounce it. It just comes.
I think that what I would love, and you guys, please pray for me, those of you who are people of faith, because when I tell you God has put some massive projects in my spirit, things that have never been done before in film and TV and online, I am praying that the Lord, shows me how I can have at least something more coming into where I can invest and get my team. So it's happening. I just don't know how yet, but I want people to see what is possible. And a lot of times, just like Shantae said, you don't know what's possible if you've only seen what's not working. And so if you've only seen men be assholes, if you've only seen men be dictators, if you've only seen men be super lazy and, technically it's not my role, then you don't have an expectation that they're going to be otherwise. The same thing with the men. If you've only seen women who are like, gimme, 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 because we say as women, the biggest issue with men is that they're not consistent. What men say the biggest issue is with women is that we are entitled. They come in here with their hands open, just like little princesses, gimme, 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 and then God forbid I ask anything of them after I've done for them, and they have an attitude. So we have to start to do better. And if we keep waiting, I'm going to wait to be this amazing woman until I see he is being this amazing man. And I don't mean jump in bed with him and give him all your wifely, duties. I'm not talking about that. But I'm talking about put your guard down. Mm-hmm. Because this was the second thing that I was going to cover. I didn't intend for it to be a 2-hour show, but hey, this is where we are. But the second one that we were going to be talking about was I did a post and I said, how do you protect yourself from being used by the opposite sex when you're dating? For men, their biggest fear is, and I promise this is all going to come together, men's biggest fear is that they're going to be used for their resources. She doesn't genuinely love me. She just loves what I can do for her. That's what the men have said is their biggest fear. The women's biggest fear is that she's going to be used for her body. He doesn't genuinely love me, the soul that I am. He just wants to use my resources, which is my body. So if we take our time, that's why I say, let's go back to this. I even did a whole thing calling the 90-day discovery phase. If when we meet somebody, we take our time and we're pleasant and kind, we can kiki, but I'm going to be observing. I don't have to tell you I'm observing. I don't have to have an attitude of, Negro, we're going to see if you make it past. No, you keep that to yourself. You have your private little notes that you're keeping and you're taking notes. How did he talk about his ex? Is he disrespectful? Mm-hmm. Are they all crazy? How involved is he in his kids' lives? Okay, because a lot of these guys have kids already. Is he constantly telling me we can't hang out this weekend because I got the kids? Or do you never see Timmy? You never see Timmy but some old crusty wallet photo, like who still prints wallet photos? So you have to observe. If you pump the brakes, ladies, on physical intimacy, guess what he can't use? Your body. But I'm the crazy person. What's that?
Can I say something on that when you're done?
Oh, sure. Please don't lose your thought. And men, if you're so concerned that she's going to use you for your resources, stop leading with money. I'm not talking about a dinner or two. Okay.
I'm after you, Candace.
Look, because I know it's okay. We're not going to go all the way free dates because women, I try to sell it. They're like, no, they're not doing it. Okay. However, if you have an amazing woman who is a woman of character, that woman is not going to be offended that you did not reach deep into your pockets. She's not expecting a helicopter ride on the first, second, or third date. She's not expecting you to go buy her a dress for the day, do her nails for the day, do her hair. Even if you said, it's a beautiful day, can we go to the beach? I don't know a virtuous woman who would turn her nose up at that. You know what? I've got 2 bikes. I'm going to throw them in the back of my pickup truck. Do you mind meeting me at Redondo Beach? I'd love to go bike riding down the coast. Guess how much money you spent on that? Nothing. You already had the bikes. You already had the pickup truck. And okay, if you want to count the gas, but then the ladies, you could say, well, I had to pay to do my hair, whatever. If you really want to go hardcore and you really want to see somebody's character, take money out of the equation and take sex out of the equation. And guess what was the quote she said? If you let that person show you who they are, you'll see who they prefer to be. A woman who is content with just your conversation is a keeper. And imagine her brain exploding when she realizes, oh, you're high six figures. Wow. Even though all the dates that we did, you know, she probably didn't even notice the amount of money that was spent or not spent. But you spend enough time getting to know that person's character, you assess a lot. These people are not master actors who deserve Academy Award winning, you know, trophies. These people are not convincing. You are just so horny, men, that you bypass the fact that she belongs to the streets. She's a proud card-carrying member. And ladies, you're so desperate for love and you're so obsessed with the idea of romance and you're stuck in a Disney fairy tale that you didn't even notice he didn't have side teeth. That's your bad. Okay? He lives with his mom. You never even notice. He never sees his kids. He's behind on child support. All these things you would have found out. She's got 16 restraining orders out against him from all the crazy exes. But you didn't notice that because he tells you you're beautiful. And he tells you that he misses you.
And I know, Candace, you're going to go first, but I'm going to just say real quick. My wife showed me she didn't need me, that she wanted me. Full stop.
Yeah. Not even going on mute.
We're just going to do a spoken word clap. Yeah. Golf clap, spoken word snap.
That's so good, Jerome, because to that point, I'll give an example of a date. And to your point, Yonci, you said that the point of feeling used. People don't, and that's what it is. You just don't want to feel used. You just don't want to feel like you're spinning your wheels and you're getting nothing in return. But that's you going into it thinking that's what's going to happen. Right? So it's that same thing of saying there's no good men. Well, you keep saying that, that's what you're going to keep getting. And you're saying, I don't want to be used, I don't want to be used, I don't want to be used. Somebody's going to come in your life and they're going to use you because that's all you keep talking about. I remember I went on a couple of dates with this guy and his birthday, it just so happened, it was like 2 dates after we met. And the dates were like a week apart because people love context as if they're calendar keepers. For his birthday, I saw investment in him. He was younger than me. This is me letting my guard down, right? Give me all my steps. Ooh. It was only like a year, but I feel like that makes a difference. It still makes a difference.
It's like 5 years in men. Yeah.
It makes a difference, right?
10 years.
And so I heard that his bike was broke. For his birthday, I got him a $150 card to REI to get his bike fixed.
I love a practical gift.
Listen, because you're not going to get a visa. I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. I'm going to tell you what you're going to do, and I need to let you know I heard you clearly.
Wait, he was an illegal immigrant? Trying to get a visa? Oh,
not that.
I'm just playing. He trying to get a green card? Oh, my God. What, did he ride his bike across the border? Let me stop. No wonder he needed it fixed.
Right. To this day, he has not cashed that thing. Now, here's the thing, though. Me letting him be who he wants to be so I can see who he prefers to be has shown me that he felt inferior because I provided financially. Because I was able to show him that you're not the only one making a financial investment. I appreciate you taking me to dinner because we have some nice dates, but me listening with my clipboard, oh, you have some nice dates, Candace. Did I sit there and eat by myself? We ate together, so you had some nice dates too. So for him, the money was a gateway. And I think it's because for women, he's used to, well, if I dealt out the money, I'm going to get what I want, and I want sex. And I was just like, thank you. I was hungry. I eat 3 meals a day. I will see you tomorrow.
We did what we came to do. Good day.
We came what we came to do. We came to have a great conversation. But I also suggested other things for him. We don't have to go to Abra in Beverly Hills. I mean, if you want to do your pockets like that, you know what? Have you ever had Jersey Mike's? I suggested the bike idea because I planned it. I gave you $150 to fix your bike. Thought your bike would have been fixed in about 3 weeks.
Get that huffy together. Get the banana seat right. Yeah.
Listen, let's go to the park and ride bikes, Jersey Mike's, for your birthday.
That was actually a date. I had Jersey Mike's for a date. I took a guy on a picnic and I bought him Jersey Mike's. Well, actually, no, I think he paid for the sandwiches, but I planned the date.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It made him so uncomfortable. He almost got offended. And so now I got a chance to see that other side. So I could put it on my clipboard. It's, oh, you had some nice dates. Oh, I can't go on any dates anymore because I can't afford it. Now you can afford the dates because I've given you a $150 gift card.
Oh.
Use the clipboard, ladies.
He was dating outside. He was dating outside his means, which I think is a real thing. Like, this is not shade, but I really believe that if a man is not comfortable with his own finances, he's not in a position to date. You're just not, because as much as we want to act like, you know, there aren't roles, there are. Most women, no matter what you feel about the gender roles for women, most women are not comfortable with a guy who cannot to at least take her on a regular date. What were you going to say, Shantae?
And you all were talking, you know, about it. The word that kind of stuck into my mind was boundaries. People need boundaries. People need to be vetted on these dates. With me personally, when I go on a date with a guy, if I haven't been out with you before, for me, for my own safety, these are my own personal rules, and these are the boundaries that I have with myself that won't be broken for anybody. Even if you're a man's man, you're going to take care of me. I'm not expecting you to. I will bring my own money to the date. I'm not even going to tell you that I have my own money. You know what I'm saying? If you ask me out, I do expect you to pay. If I ask you out, I'm paying, period. You know what I'm saying? Period. I'm not going to fight you with this, you know? But I bring my own money. If I decide to kick back and have a couple of drinks, I always make sure that I have, you know, money for an Uber. But usually I'm never too bad where I can't drive myself home.
Right.
And usually I'll just sit there, I'll consume a certain amount of food so that I know I'm good to drive, you know? And then with me, if I don't know you and we're just going out on a date for the first time, I'm going to drive to meet you. You're not picking me up from my home. That's me. I have a thing about that because I have gone on some dates that didn't go the way that they should have. And now this fool knows where I live at.
That's called wisdom, my girl.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I say boundaries. Like, when I've been on my dates and I've taken my mental notes, I'm like, oh, you're not getting anything from me just because you paid for this date. You know what I'm saying? Hold up.
Yeah.
But I'm not a lady of the evening. If you want one, you know what I'm saying? Then that's what you do, because they usually have those same kind of rules for themselves. But those type of guys, I would usually pick up on that. Like, you know, oh, he just expects to get something because he took me to Red Lobster. Sir, we can go to McDonald's. We can go to Chipotle.
But did you get biscuits, though? I mean, let's be fair. The biscuits are endless, so the cheeks, I don't know, they maybe should come with it. You know, but I just think that when it comes to, you know, it's so many little things that, you know, women need to, and men too. I just think that the vetting process needs to be very thorough. You know, like she said, you need to see what they want to do to see what they would rather do. I agree with that. And also, you definitely need to have boundaries. You know, like, I don't agree with, you know, certain, like, I hear it sometimes from my young guy friends, whatever, like, when they going out on a date, I expect, well, you shouldn't expect anything. If you're going on a date expecting something, or expecting not to just have great conversation and eat good food, you shouldn't be going out on a date. I'm just saying, you can get Grubhub delivered. I get it delivered, or I can go out to the restaurant alone. It's okay. And how
I
guilty?
can make my own meal, sir.
How guilty do you feel when they're disappointed about not getting any?
Oh, I don't feel guilty at all, because here's the thing.
Unbothered.
I didn't give you that impression.
Unbothered.
Thank you. Ladies.
I'm unbothered, baby, because you're just going to go home with an attitude and go ahead and take a cold shower, because this ain't what this is. I just met you.
I want women to hear this. Ladies, you don't owe him. If I was a cursor, you don't owe him. Okay? You don't owe him anything but your time and your energy and your thoughtfulness. I say this in my book. Even if you have a horrible time, I don't mean he treated you badly, meaning you didn't care for him, whatever. You still, as Jerome was saying, I'm going to be me no matter what. if you are a kind person and a feminine woman, you're still going to be a kind feminine woman. You're just not going to be his kind feminine woman. But you should always be gracious. Thank you. He still paid. Thank God. You just had your time wasted. He had his time wasted and his finances used. So if anything, just be grateful that you didn't have to pay on top of that. But I want women to know you don't owe that man diddly squat. And there are so many men who will say it, and because the bigger group is the louder group, does not make it any more true. They can scream it from the rooftops that they are now entitled to your cheeks. But I'm sorry, I didn't sign any contract that said after the biscuits have been consumed, you get my biscuits. That was never, we never came into a contractual obligation. If you assume that, they say if you assume, it makes it, you know what, out of you and me. Okay? So that's your bad. You should have stipulated that sex is coming at the end of the day if you come with me. And then I could have said, thank you, no thank you. Take care, Jerome. Take care, Jethro. Take care, whatever your name is. And we could have gone on our way. But there are all these unspoken things that people think that they can guilt you into. And if you don't know who you are and you don't know your worth, you are going to feel peer pressure. And then worst, if you have a spirit of desperation, you are going to be so scared that this great guy who has all these characteristics that you want might drop you if you don't drop your drawers. So now you're over here like, it took me 7 months to meet a guy with high six figures. It took me 7 months to meet a guy who has the side teeth, and we know how hard that is to find. It took me this long to find a guy who doesn't have kids or whatever your criteria is. And you're like, maybe I'll just go to his house, but I won't do. No, now you're already starting to compromise on what you said you would never do because you don't want to sleep with that man. Most women don't want to sleep with the person out the gate. We usually are emotional creatures that it takes us an emotional bond to get there. But that spirit of desperation will make you do things that you normally would not do. And now because you're terrified that he's hinted at the idea that you might not be a good fit if you're not willing to bend over on the first date, now you're wondering, should I go back with this guy I just met on Craigslist? No! That's how people come up missing. Okay?
So I had a thing when my wife and I were dating. And it was strictly for simplistic reasons, right?
Sorry, these comments.
Strictly simplistic. And I said to her, if you do not tell me by the time we walk into a restaurant that you're paying for the meal, I make the assumption that I am. And the reason for that is I have been on dates where we're fighting over a check. I don't have time for that. I don't want to get to fighting. No, I believe money is replaceable. It's not that serious. Let's just simplify it. So if she had planned a date and I was, for example, coming from North Carolina into New York, she would tell me, go to the house, drop off your bag, meet me here. I knew beforehand because she would say it to me, I got us tonight, don't worry about it.
I'm sorry, Jerome. Before you finish that, ladies, when a man says he's not willing to drive more than 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and you're undateable, I'm sorry, how far did you go every other weekend? Or was it every weekend? I don't remember.
Every weekend for 5 years, I flew from Charlotte to New York. That's about 600 miles.
Okay, just in case you guys didn't catch that, that's not a city. Those are two different states that he just mentioned. Okay.
It's not a car, it's a flight.
So
in a car is about 8 hours.
And I could tell you the flights, okay? I would be on the 6 o'clock out of Charlotte on Friday night and on the 6 a.m. out of LaGuardia coming back. And if during the week she wasn't feeling well, I would fly up on Thursday or Wednesday or Tuesday, fly back in the morning and still be here on Friday.
When a man loves a woman.
No, you know what it is, right. When a man wants a woman, he's going to put in that work, right? And here's the thing also that you ladies have to understand. You set the expectations for what it is that you want out of that man.
Let me mute myself so I can clap.
You set that expectation.
Yeah.
I was not coming short. If I came short, there would be no way that I would be able to get this woman because my wife told me I do not do long distance relationships. She told me that. So in my mind, I said, and I said this to her, that I'm gonna make it feel like it's not long distance.
You're not gonna feel the distance, baby.
She will tell you. She will tell you that she was entrenched in it. I think I have the text message. I do not do long distance relationships. Here we are married.
Can I highlight what you just said? Because let me just preach. I wish I had an organ. Were you on the episode where that we actually had an organist and I fell
I wish I were.
out? I said, well, and he jumped on that organ. I said, hey, because I'm about to preach. When a man wants the woman, it's a conditional, okay? This is not all men, all women. But when a man sees a woman that he wants, and she has done what she's supposed to do, which is to set the standard, set the bar, he will look at that and determine, see, you got people's sweaters coming off. That man will look at the standard and make the decision, is she worth the effort? And if he decides that she's worth the effort, he will do what it takes to get her. That same man, if he met this woman who said her standard was this, he will come in and do this. If a third woman came and said her standard was here, and he decided he wanted that woman, he will do this. Same guy, different actions, all based on the standard that the woman set. But why doesn't a woman set her standard? A woman with a spirit of desperation takes that one guy who says, ooh, that's the standard? Nah, I'm cool. Walks away, and now, what is that F word? Fear. Now fear comes in. Oh my God. He was my dream guy because his bio on Hinge was incredible. You don't even know this man, but this was your dream guy. And now your dream guy left. No, he wasn't your dream guy, boo-boo, because your dream guy would have met your standard. So this is why I say don't even pass step one. If you have a spirit of desperation, slide in my DM. This is literally what I coach. Someone was asking, how do you get rid of that spirit? I walk you through it because it's not a quick answer. You have to get rid of that spirit of desperation because everything else is based on that foundation. You have to be able to say, I would rather die in my singleness than to be with someone that I feel will not be willing to give me less than I deserve. And a lot of men are and do die single because the world, the matrix, does not have messaging that programs little boys from the earliest age of cognition that they are with less than if they are single. No, they actually cheer men on and call them sexy names like bachelors. No one really calls women bachelorettes except for on the show. No one says like, oh, I know the sexy bachelorette. No, we say sexy bachelors, you know, or he lives this lifestyle. So men are not plagued with that spirit of desperation. So if they don't meet their expectations are here and here comes women, here comes women, here comes women. He's going about his business. Why? Because his life is fulfilling. His job is fulfilling. His relationships with other people is fulfilling. His personal hobbies are fulfilling. Men are taught to get a life. Women are taught to get picked. And if you buy that lie from the pit of hell that is from the Matrix, it's in magazines, TV shows, movies, books, it's everywhere. If you buy that lie, ladies, that your life does not begin until you are picked, you are going to be tormented by a spirit of desperation. And then what happens is you settle for the first guy to come along, and then you're happily ever after. Negative. Because you have settled for that man, and now you are miserable. Now you're with a guy who doesn't put you first. You're with a guy who doesn't care about taking care of his family. You're with a guy who always is tit for tat. You're with a guy who doesn't care about your feelings, and you are miserable. Because you don't have your spirit whole, you will take whatever you can get, because anything is better than nothing when you are desperate. So if you don't get anything else from this live stream, the importance of being healed and whole and seeing yourself as enough, which we know comes from a relationship with God. But anyway, nobody asked. When that happens and you feel wholeness, because that yearning that people have is a yearning for God. Your spirit knows it, but you don't know it. But when you feel complete in Him, which is the short answer, then you don't look to anyone else to complete you. Anyone else is just an added bonus. I was already good with my Chinese food, but you threw in that fortune cookie. That's cool. It didn't make my meal though. It was just a nice little touch. That parsley, it was really cute, but if you hadn't brought it out on my steak, I'm still devouring the steak. So your life should be so rich and so full and complete that you're coming in without being starving. And when you go on that date, you are not hungry and foaming at the mouth. You've had some bread before you came. You drank a bunch of water. And if you need to get up in the middle of that date, you're not thinking, do I want to leave all this food on the table? You're getting up and bolting when you realize that this is not for you. That is my prayer.
That's about making, that comes back to making someone happy, right? I don't make my wife happy. I enhance the happiness that she's already had in her life. And she does the same for me, because having a I hear so many times from people talking about, I just want my daughter, for example, to be happy. No, your daughter should find happiness in her own individual self and what her own thing is. And someone coming into her life should only enhance that, because if it's my responsibility to make my wife happy, that's a recipe for failure off the bat. And it's not something I could possibly do. I'm not a perfect being. I have my day. I know some of the time I work my wife's nerves because I am curious and I ask her a million stupid questions, right? But this is it. And what I love about her is, even though they're the dumbest questions in there from outer space, like, she will answer them. And then there will be times where it's midnight and she's like, take a Snickers and go to sleep, bro. She, but it's in love, and it's just, the fun that we have with each other that, but I know that I walked in, she was already happy. And when I came to her, I was already happy. I was happy that I had rediscovered who I am. I started enjoying life. I started just getting on the plane and just traveling and enjoying life again.
And when you say the statement, it hit me as you were talking, when you say, I want someone to make me happy, meaning like I haven't reached my happiness level, that means you don't know how to do it yourself. Because nobody would leave a task undone if they have the power to do it themselves. So if you don't know how to make yourself happy, how in the world do you expect another person outside of you to be able to do more than you do yourself? And you're the one who has access to all your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So that is already a flawed thing, and that's way too big of a task to put on somebody's shoulders. I don't want anyone to look at me that way. You guys, we have been on here for so long, and I know I got people who have to get up in the morning, so I'm gonna.
I am enjoying it though. Like, oh my god, I could talk for the rest of the evening, but I'm probably gonna regret it in the morning.
I told you in the chat, we had a girl, because Jerome knows, we used to have, well, they still do it, I just don't go on, but every Friday night my group does the private chats. So we got on and we started talking. I think we started talking like 7 o'clock my time. We were on so long that Facebook timed out. Because we would broadcast it to Facebook. So Zoom stays on. You can go as long as you want. So we get on. We end up being on there for 9 hours. This girl came in after she got off her shift. We talked through the entire night. It was then morning and time for her shift to start, and she never went to sleep because the topic was so juicy. So I know what it's like. I want to make sure I just say this. With regards to being used, because I kind of rushed through it since we had gone so long. If you don't want to be used, don't give anything that you'll regret. Obviously, you can't take sex back. If you're booking, like I said, helicopter trips and trips to the Bahamas, yes, money can be replaced, but don't spend something that you don't have that ease of you're not going to be resentful that you gave it away, basically. And also, you need to know what your requirements are going in. If you know what your requirements are going in, I've never understood people say, oh, I don't want to ask that question, it's too soon. It's never too soon. If a person is offended by me asking a question, that is the answer. Because if you're just trying to knock, can I go to 90s and talk about knocking boots? If you're just trying to knock boots, no, you don't want to talk about marriage and kids. So if that question bothers you, boom, already, I don't even need my clipboard. You've already shown me that you're not the one, or you're at least someone that should be eliminated. So take your time, take your time, take your time. Men, if you're worried about being used for money, pay attention. Does she constantly bring up money? Does she constantly drop hints? Oh, golly, my light bill, I don't know how I'm going to pay it. Oh, gee willikers. They really will give you signs, okay? They really will give you...
That, sis.
Look, and you want to be this superhero like, oh, I want to flex because you don't realize your value. You overcompensate and you want to come in and pay. No, because then you're going to turn around and call her a gold digger. She didn't even need to know what kind of gold you have to be worth digging, okay? And then women, if you say, oh, I don't want to be used for my body, ma'am, don't have everything but your nipples out. Don't lead with sex. If you look like a streetwalker, don't be offended if he thinks that you are one. Like Shantae said, Lady of the Night, I'm in people's business, but you cannot say on the one hand, I want to be treated respectfully and dress in a way that says I want to be treated like a toy. Okay, I was trying to really watch my words there. Okay, so don't bring up sex. A lot of women think it's cute to be coy, and if he starts talking about what's your favorite position, I had a man ask that on my first phone call off of the dating app. If he's asking your favorite position, you know the difference between a compliment like, oh, you are so beautiful. Natasha came out and said, oh, you are stunning. That's different than, girl, Two totally different energies. So don't be so flattered that he's giving you compliments. What kind of compliments? Is it a respectful compliment that he could say in front of his mom? Or is it a compliment that your dad would want to punch him in the face? If he's coming out the gate and he hasn't earned that position in your life, that is a red flag. That is not something to compliment yourself on. The world teaches that if a man is sexually attracted to you, you're doing something. I'm sorry, but dogs are attracted to fire hydrants. Like, it doesn't take much for the male species to get turned on. So don't think that you're special because you get him going. I'm sorry. They could put a bag over your head and still get off even if they think you're ugly. I'm just keeping it 100. So don't think that you're special because his member is going up, okay? That's not a huge achievement. Watch that.
If he asks you what's your favorite position, say safety.
Oh! I'll be like, my favorite position's on the other side of the door.
These are conversations I've had with my female friends, and just say, so in football, there's a defensive player, safety. But when you say safety to a man, there's a couple that gets that man thinking, oh, where's she going with safety? But tell him
she
that.
mean condoms.
Right. The Glock.
But not only that, okay, right? But don't answer that question. Let him ask that question. When he comes with it and you come back with that, word, all right. I hear you, sis.
Heard him, Jerome. Heard him.
That should change the whole atmosphere.
A lot of times, this is the other thing too that I had to learn. It took me so long to get this because I'm an empath and I would physically feel people's emotions and things. And I was a people pleaser because I wanted people to like me because I had an insecurity. I felt like I always had to make the situation not awkward. So even if somebody did something that was offensive and like horrible, I felt like I needed to lighten the mood or so. I know it sounds ridiculous saying it now, but that's how I felt. And so when a man does something that is a major blunder and it's something that is offensive, because it might not be something that's on a level 10 where it's a red flag, you cut off all communication to block him. Sometimes it's a little bit of a fish to see like, what are your boundaries? And if he comes across one of your boundaries, don't be afraid to make the situation quote unquote awkward. And I say quote unquote because it should only be awkward for him. You should not feel any awkwardness.
We know your boundaries based upon conversation. We know your boundaries based upon where you take it, right? Do you take it immediately to that? we know your boundary.
Yeah.
If your conversation is exploratory and we're just, having a good time and we're just talking and we're laughing and joking, we know we're a lot smarter than what, we leave.
They let on, yeah.
Trust me. So yeah, it's not just testing your boundaries because we're going to know, right? We by simple conversation. So
yeah.
I listen, I love love, right? I want to see especially Black queens. I want to see Black queens in love, and us out here prospering together, and us showing the next generation, yes, Black love is beautiful. I want that for every single one of us, and I want these relationships to prosper. I just do. I don't, the goal is not to get married. The goal is to stay married.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, I want to, I'm staying in this. This is
he
the
said
joint.
Till death.
Like, this is the joint. Like, to know that I have someone who, I can't fake it. She knew me at 15. Like, there's no faking it. This chick has known me. She was my first love. She was my first, you name it, this was it. And, to now have a second shot at this love, man, I could bear my everything to her and not feel like if there's a disagreement that it's going to be thrown in my face. No, she's like, if I have a disagreement with her, she's ready to put her arms around me. All right, it's going to be all right. We're going to get through it. It's cool.
I love it.
And so many of us, when we have a disagreement, we tend to flee. Nah, I want somebody in there that even in our disagreements, because we're two imperfect beings coming together, so we're going to have disagreements.
Yeah.
And it's going to work us through this, because it's the dark times when you learn who that person really is. When the good times are good, you don't know who that person is. It's when it's dark and it's hard that you discover who they are. And the first 5 years of our marriage, it was rough, but here we are, and it's prospering and flying. And I'm thankful to God for that. Seriously.
I might add that to my 90-day discovery phase. You need to keep assessing without deciding if you like the person. Don't make your judgment if you like the person or not until after your first disagreement.
Yeah,
once you see how they handle it, that should be a big one.
Yeah.
Well, guys, what'd you say?
That's important.
Yeah. There are some sidebar conversations that are happening that, oh man, we can make a whole nother topic on. Make sure you guys come back again next Sunday. I believe, next Sunday is the last Sunday we're doing, and then we're switching to Mondays after that because I want to keep my weekends for my babies. But next Sunday, make sure you guys come back. I see a lot of new faces in the comments. Thank you. The ladies who are on the panel, especially those pushing through who have to get up early, thank you for joining. I want to say this. She's laughing. No, don't apologize. It's giving me ideas for next week. But I want to say this. If you guys like my content, I have over 30,000 people in my communities. If you add TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, I barely use that. But over 30-something people, right? For 30-something thousand. If I had every person become a patron, which the lowest amount is $5 a month, I could literally fund a lot of these projects that I'm trying to get off the ground. Some stuff that I know, if you guys like watching this bootleg version of this YouTube show, you guys would like this fully produced project that I'm working on. But I know all 35,000 people will not do this. But if you're a person who can afford to do away with $5 a month, that is the smallest amount, I would like to invite you to just consider becoming a patron. And you can go to patreon.com/Yonci. The link is in my description. But there are so many people, I won't say who, some are even on this panel, who have given their monthly pledge. And it really, really holds me through. It was a leap of faith leaving my job. There's no way I could produce this much content that I do while working a full-time job. And it's because I really feel like this is what I'm called to do. So if it's on your heart, awesome. I don't ever beg. So if it's not in your heart, just leave it for what it is. But if you do want to, it's there.
Thank you for what you do, Yonci, because it's absolutely amazing to our community for us to have these conversations. It really is. My brother watches, and he said what I like is that Yonci is balanced. So That's important. So
That's
I
the
thank
biggest
you for
compliment.
what you do, sis.
Thank you so much. And I was going to say, you're one of the people who really back things up with your word. It's not blast. I don't know what you call it. But I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. When I herniated my disc I think it was last March. So it's been a full year now.
Wow.
Right? A whole year.
Wow.
Immediately slid in my DM. What do you need? What can I help you with? He's sending me home remedy stuff. Literally ordered it on Amazon and sent it to me. Like my community. I still got the heating pads and the tens and all that. And you know, he's giving me a Pentecostal handshake, and y'all know what that is.
I love you,
so he shows, and so you guys, there's so many people out there who just, you know, they make content based on putting people down or shaming people or just grabbing headlines. It takes a lot of work to, you know, try to come up with content that's not belittling to men or belittling to women. I don't get the clickbait titles. I don't get to just do the easy, you won't believe this, and bash men. It's harder to grow that way, but I want to be true to my brand. So people who encourage me, and like, you know, like Jerome, it really means a lot, even if it's just a word of encouragement. It goes a long way, letting me know I'm making a difference and I'm not just talking to myself out here in these internet streets. So I want to say thank you. For those of you who want to know about the spirit realm, I talk a lot about things that you absolutely cannot do just in your own human power. We are spirits, whether you're religious or not. We are spirits, and our spirits have to be tended to. That's why people do meditation and yoga and things like that. So if you want to understand more about the spirit realm, maybe you are a newbie, you don't really know anything, I invite you to join my Bible study. I call it It's Not Your Grandma's Bible Study, because it is not anything like you've ever seen. We're just people having a conversation just like this, and we break down what is spirit. And when you understand how to take care of your spirit, you will have love, joy, peace, all the stuff that money cannot buy. So I invite you to do that. It's Thursdays at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. If you're not on my email list, get on my email list, because you will get alerted about everything through email as opposed to trying to just hear it on the fly. I send all the links to stuff coming up. And I think that's it for my announcements. Drop in my DM if you have a question for next week. I'm going to go back to just being, it's just me. First show of the month, I bring the panel back on. So I enjoyed this, you guys. I enjoyed this. What are we on? 2.5 hours?
Me too. I loved it.
Yay. You guys can make a closing statement if you want. I don't want to just do all the talking before we go.
Ladies first.
Well, I mean, I just wasn't expecting to tear up, you know, a little bit. I was like, oh, Lord, wait a minute.
You a thug.
You know, yeah, it was really good. It was better than I thought it would be. But I remember having to do these Zooms for when the kids were virtual and I had to work, and I was working from home and the kids were there, and I was like, yo, one more Zoom, I'm gonna lose it. You know what I'm saying? You know,
she had PTSD.
This is so good. I learned so much. You know what I'm saying? I learned everything. You know, and I love always hearing a male perspective on things. And I just really, it's more men. If more men thought like Mr. Jerome here, then they wouldn't be having these silly, dumb conversations that I've been hearing and seeing. Like I saw one today where the man was like, "A woman who makes more." He said something about a woman making more is hard to deal. Oh, he said a woman making more than a man is less attractive or something like that. You know, and a whole bunch of people are jumping on it right now, seeing their responses and stuff. And I'm like, no, he's just insecure. That's what that is.
Oh wow, that's definitely
on there.
That's definitely a hot button issue, and I think I might have done a live on that. A lot of men have said that there is a spirit that comes along with it, but I don't want to go into it because then I will go on a tangent. But yeah, I want to say I want to re-applaud you, because what happened earlier, for those who didn't see, but Shantae had one thought process. She was open and listened to something and then made her own decision to have a little bit of a different thought process. And the reason why this is so important to point out a second time is because I get a lot of men who have lost hope, Shantae. They literally tell me they're hopeless because they don't believe that women are capable of doing that. They have only seen women who are so stubborn and they're just like, I'm going to double down, triple down, whatever. Seeing that little tiny thing gives so many men hope, because they realize if she can do it, then there are other women. In their minds, just like a lot of women think that all men are trash, in men's minds, all women are selfish, entitled, and heartless. They just use them for money. So the more people we can show who are normal people, you're a person just like you and me, and they have hearts, and they're you know, I don't want to say teachable, but you know what I'm saying, they're open-minded is a better word. It gives men hope. We're not all angry black women, okay?
No, we're not.
Okay, she's cute, she got little dimples, and she's tender, she cried. Okay, it's okay. Yes.
Thanks.
Anybody else want to have closing remarks? I feel like we're in a court.
Just a quick summation, because everything that was said, you saw me nodding my head a lot. I was in complete agreement. We spoke a bit about affluence, right? So I just want to remind everyone, you know, gentlemen, ladies, affluence is linked to affordability and not affectation. And so just because you have money or lack thereof, it shouldn't affect your personality, but it does afford you things, right? It does provide for opportunities if you have it. But to have discernment to watch if someone is the type of person who links their affluence to their affectation, to their personality, right? And on the discernment piece, Yonci, I love listening to your talks over the past year or so, perhaps maybe more. I've been, tapping into your panels from up here in Canada. But you speak a lot of life into your viewers. And I think words are so important. You talked a lot about fear and depression and, how people have those feelings when they're approaching relationships. But because words are so powerful and there's an abundance in our language, I just encourage people to use positive words. So instead of depression and fear, approach a potential relationship with an abundance mindset and without a lack, right? So I think that goes a long way just from the first moment you meet someone, because it doesn't have to be, this doesn't have to be your husband, right? This everlasting relationship. You're meeting somebody, you're open. There's just an expansiveness or an opportunity for expansiveness. So I just think it's important to keep the words we use for ourselves and for other people in mind as well.
I appreciate
But thank you for the conversation.
Oh, I enjoyed it. And I appreciate your presence. It's always nice. This is why I like having people come on camera, putting a face to the name, because you're always just Natasha from Canada. So now I have a beautiful face with the name. So thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you for having me. I met Yonci, was it last week or the week before last?
I'm trying to remember. You know what?
I know.
Not gonna assume.
Okay.
My little brain, child.
I don't know if it's been a week or 2 weeks, but I met her on a panel from Stizzo Speaks. Shout out to Stizzo. And I was in her A-Man corner because I love...
Now I'm trying to think. Oh, it's February 17th. Okay, it's February 17th. So it's been a minute, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I really enjoyed being there. She called me her A-Man corner because if you say something and it resonates with my man and my spirit, I'm going to say amen. It is what it is. You will get appreciation for your facts.
I was waiting for a shoe to come on stage.
So I want to say thank you for having me. That was a great topic. I will be shooting you some more, and I would love to add more to the conversation over and over again, because these are really great topics. And this is how you begin to change the community. You have to sit and have conversations like this. We have to see people that look like us if we get down to it. We have to see people that look like us that are changing generations and are willing to have a different conversation and talk about different vocabulary. I love what Natasha said. I had to write it down. There's an abundance. I'm a teacher. So there is an abundance of vocabulary. I said, I'm going to use that. Because you have to be choosy. I love everybody that was on the panel. We said some really great points, and I hope it changed a lot of the audience.
Oh, I get goosebumps. I love this. Just thinking that it can make a change.
Oh, yeah.
It makes such a difference. And it's wild because the enemy will have you think you're just one person in a world filled with billions of people. But let's just think, for example, I'm not going to say his name, but let's just think about KS. He is one person who he's like if you throw a stone and there's a ripple, he makes such a big ripple, and he was just using YouTube. Now there is an entire community who speaks isms based on what he has expressed. We have entire catchphrases and things like that. And so it's totally possible for a person to make a change, whether negative or positive, I'll let y'all decide. But it gives me hope because it lets me know that people are listening, and then those people are talking to their community, and those people are talking to their community. And there's a woman who listens, and she always submits questions. She came in the first time, she said, I have a question. And then she came in the next time and she said, my coworkers are questions. And she literally had 5 questions from 3 of the guys, 2 of the girls, and the next week, another coworker. So these people are actually listening and hearing. And so you don't know who you're affecting. So thank you for your words. Y'all, you gave me life. Literally, you gave me life. So I appreciate that.
Yonci, you know, this isn't my first time here, but it's been a while since I've been with you. And, you know, I as busy as I am, I make sure I see what it is that you're doing. And please do not get it twisted. You are making waves in the waters as well. And you are changing lives. You are bringing people together. And, you know, I'm so glad I just get to be a part of this. Anytime that I can, I'm coming through. All you have to do is say, yo, Jay. You know, after that, I don't even need to know what the rest is. I'm going to pick up the phone and say what you need because, you know, that's just what you mean to me. And ladies, it was a blessing to be able to meet you. Hopefully, I deposited something in each of you and everyone who's watching because you deposited into me. And I will continue to walk and be love and hope that everyone who wants love follows and does the same.
Here, here. I wish we had drinks. Clink, 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 clink.
Yeah.
I'm here. What's that?
I said that's the only thing that was missing was some drinks.
I know, right? Well, he knows we used to do drinks it up.
It would go down up in here, and I don't drink either, so I'm just.
I can't hold my liquor, so I was like, I can't drink anymore on the show. Oh, good times. All right, guys. Well, until next time, please tell somebody that you love them.